Al Gore's the worst. He's a demon.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, December 27th, 2018. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination episode 1098.
This is No Agenda.
Rubbing your feet with CBD and broadcasting live from the capital of the Drone Star State here in downtown Austin, Tejas, in the Cludio. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where people have mistakenly put their garbage out for collection, even though it won't be collected. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Well, I think we should stop the show right now. You should go out and knock on everyone's door and inform them of this issue.
What happened was the waste management operation, instead of giving a phone call with an automated message about the change in delivery, they sent out an email.
Oh.
I read the email. It says it'll be picked up tomorrow, but no.
Huh. Hey, there's some weird sound in the background you've got there.
Yes, that's the disconnected phone during his first. I disconnected a little late.
Do you want to go hang it up? Or is it just sitting there going?
No, if I hang it up, someone will call and asking me if they're if I want to change my credit card relationships.
Okay,
it should stop. I don't know why I'm playing it so much. It's actually louder than it's ever been.
The only guy I know who still has a phone that you can take off the hook so that people won't call you.
Yeah.
We have this...
it's called a landline. I know. It's so weird for everyone to even understand that these exist.
This is do not disturb mode, but no. Is it rotary or is it push touch tone?
I don't even know if rotary works anymore.
Oh, that's a good question, actually. I bet it does.
I think in some areas it doesn't.
Huh. I hadn't even considered that. It's been deprecated.
Well, or whatever. Deprecated.
Well, we're the only two.
What's it starting up again for?
I don't know.
Let me go move this.
We never have this problem. Well, regardless, welcome to the No Agenda Show. This is the best podcast in the universe. And unlike everywhere else in media, no retrospectives here. No best funny news stories of the year here. No counting down to the new year here. No, just media deconstruction for whatever there was out there. It seems like everybody's on vacation. We as two podcasters, we weather the storm to bring you something.
I actually have a couple of retrospective clips.
Wait, before you go.
For the lecture.
No, wait, before you go anywhere. I'm going to lecture you a little more. It was interesting, surprising to see you on Twit last Sunday.
Yeah.
A lot of people noticed this. How was it?
I had 3 goals. Get my Twitter followers up.
Okay.
Plug the hell out of the No Agenda Show.
Yes, what you did.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Yep.
And a pathway to promoting some upcoming books. I know it sounds ludicrous, but it's a fact.
Wow. Okay. I watched most of the show. I do have 2 comments if you're interested. Just two comments from one executive producer to another.
Yeah. What?
One, in general, I think that it is time for people on podcasts who deal with technology to keep referring to the audience as normal people, regular people who, quote, ... won't understand, won't get, won't care, won't...
Did I do that?
No, you did not. I'm not saying you. I'm saying in general. I'm so tired of hearing regular people. They won't do
right.
this.
It was very common theme on that show. Okay, next.
Your hair.
What about it?
Well, because of the lighting, it looks normal. It thins out a little bit as you get older. The lighting is so harsh there at Twit that you kind of.
I know. Half the time I look bald.
It's more like like you're in chemo. No, it's not.
Pretty,
which is nothing. It's nothing to joke about.
Down lighting is extreme. It's ridiculous.
So there is makeup for this, which I was going to recommend.
They don't use makeup on the show. No,
but you should have your own little kit, bro. If you're going to do that anymore, you need to look good.
Yeah. Let's go.
All right. Nothing personal, just a general television observation.
90% of the people that listen to Twit do it on audio, so I'm not too concerned.
All right. No, good.
But I understand. I agree with you on both these points.
Okay. Then I have one household question. Was that you in the newsletter?
Where?
So you sent out a newsletter, a very good rundown about Mattis leaving. which is why people should subscribe to this product. It's fantastic. It's a bonus, just like the show notes. There's all kinds of things you get outside of the No Agenda Show podcast itself. You had funny computer ads, many of which are just lovely to look at.
No, there was none with me in there.
Oh, because the guy with the 2 chicks?
Yeah, no, that didn't look like me.
A little bit. It could have been.
No.
Okay. All right.
That was that was too funny. It was like,
great.
what are these 2 women going to bite him? Just...
Well, just the times, man. The things that you could get away with back in the day versus now.
Yes, anyone who didn't get the newsletter missed out on the kind of a rundown of just part 1. I think I have about 3 of these I can do of all these old computer ads from the 70s. It's very interesting.
They're great.
A lot of celebrities.
Yeah.
Dom DeLuise was in there. Bill Cosby.
What I like is you see the Apple. Everyone's advertising about their 10 megabyte drive. Their 4800 baud modem, and Apple. Back then already, it was like, oh, you will be able to solve your business problems. You will be able to do this. Nothing about what was really inside the box, which was quite interesting. It was fun.
Yeah, they were selling benefits, not features.
Yeah, and markedly different from the rest.
They actually had a real advertising agency that knew that rule.
Right. Was that Leo Burnett back then? Or
no, I think it was...
Scheid Day?
I think it was, yeah.
Those guys were good. Anyway, so Artie set us all up that there's no news because no one's working. So we had. There
is no news.
There is actually just not being discussed on the news. There's events happening in the world.
But there was some stuff to discuss on the news. Mostly how here Trump goes to Iraq. I think I have one clip of it.
Yeah,
Trump goes to Iraq, and the whole news story is about how he went after the date that Bush went, or after the date Obama went. He went overseas 3 months after he became president. What is it? What kind of a comparison is this?
He's late.
Sort of important
He's late.
checklist?
I tell you, he's late.
He's late.
He didn't go until we shamed him.
When did Reagan go first overseas to the war zone? Oh, wait a minute. We didn't have a bunch of war zones then. So now they've normalized war zones.
Yes, of course.
Unbelievable.
You have a clip, you said?
Do I?
I don't know. You said you might have a clip. I'm looking. I don't see one.
Oh, probably don't have one then.
I see one. Well, you want to talk about Mattis just for a second?
Yeah, sure.
I thought your rundown was quite good that you put in the newsletter. I had a call with Pechenik, and he's all about the military intelligence.
Yeah,
and he had a couple of interesting things to say. Gotta pick up my notes here. You got to write down this stuff when Pechenik calls. Okay, so he says, well, it's very sad. 2 generals are out, Kelly and Mattis, because we really counted on them. Kelly hung in as long as he could because he just could not handle what Pechenik calls Woody Woodpecker, which is how he categorizes Trump.
Okay.
And he gave me this concept. I don't know if it's a psychological or mental concept of idealization and realization as a personality, I guess you should say trait. And what he means by that, and I recognize this immediately when he said it, is Trump does the following. When he meets somebody who we obviously wants, or even if he doesn't, I'll give an example. Oh, Dvorak, oh man, you're the best. Oh, I can't believe it. It's so great to have you here. I love what you've done with your computing books, and I love what you do with your columns. Oh, look at this guy. Is he the best ever? Is he the best ever or what? But then a couple down the road, 2 weeks, when you do something he doesn't like, it's exactly the opposite. Oh, why did I even hire that guy? What an idiot. Why did
he sounds like a classic Silicon Valley CEO.
Well, it's interesting because I said it sounds like every New York Jew I've worked with.
Well, that too.
And he's a Jew, and he said, yeah, that's exactly it. It's New York attitude, but he calls it the idealization and realization personality trait. Now, yeah, so that makes nothing but sense.
I like it.
But it is difficult. He believes that the new guy, the chief of staff, what's his name?
Shanahan?
No. That's the Department of Defense.
Oh, the chief of staff guy's name is unmemorable.
Yeah, that guy. Pechenik says he will not last through 2020. It's impossible. He says no one can deal with that. Now, the new guy, Shanahan. He likes him a lot for a number of reasons. He says this guy. Well, actually, he said, Mattis also hung in as long as he could, and then he just gave up. It was just and he didn't have to really do. He had a couple more months left, but
according to some reports, which I hinted at in the rundown that I did, Pompeo told Mattis that Trump was going to fire him, and that's when Mattis wrote the note and quit.
Right,
and nobody. So and the media picks it up as the media likes to twist it in their way, which is, Trump pulled out of Syria, and of course that's important to us, the media, because we're all warmongers and think we should be in Syria of all places with our troops. Who cares about? I mean, as long as it doesn't hurt me,
right?
So Trump pulls out of Syria. Thus, Mattis quit in disgust.
Yeah, well, that of course is the story, and it looks good. You can read it that way, and it may be exactly that, but Pechenik is very happy with Shanahan coming in, and he believes Trump understands this. He is MIT Boeing cyber guy. He understands a lot more than an old dog like Mattis, who understands kinetic warfare, force structures, going out, blowing shit up, tanks, troops, etc.
Yeah.
That is all shifting, and Shanahan will shift this. Big responsibility and maybe focus, I'd be interested, on the Geospatial Intelligence Agency, because it's all about, I quote, cyber satellites and missiles. That's what warfare is, cyber satellites and missiles. Everything else is pretty much unimportant. And, of course, the Russia supersonic missile comes into play here. The hypersonic, since the U.S. appears to be not able to deter that. It's all kind of like demo-ware as far as I can tell right now.
I do have a report you can play.
Okay. What you got?
Hypersonic.
Hypersonic, supersonic.
President Vladimir Putin testing a new intercontinental missile and President Donald Trump's medal. From a Moscow command center, Putin watched the hypersonic missile leave its launch tube and, according to the Russians, strike a target 3,700 miles away, declaring it invulnerable to intercept. Russia says it can be armed with a nuclear weapon and travel up to 20 times the speed of sound. Without confirming the results of today's test, the Pentagon has acknowledged that America is vulnerable.
We don't have any defense that could deny the employment of such a weapon against us.
Adding urgency to the Pentagon's own plan to develop an American version.
The hypersonics is a game-changing technology, and that's why it's so important for us to embrace.
And how far are we from actually fielding that technology ourselves?
So I think we'll put a hypersonic system in the field before 2023.
Russia first touted their hypersonic missile in March with an animation showing warheads flying towards Florida.
Both offensively and defensively, the United States military is working very hard on hypersonics. We are in an arms race.
But for Putin, his new missile is a perfect New Year's gift for the country. Hans Nichols, NBC News, the Pentagon.
Here's the thing about all that. First of all, after supersonic, when you have hypersonic, you know that whatever Trump comes up with, it'll be warp speed. I guarantee you. Warp speed is how fast we fly. Space Force. The thing about these missiles is if you can control the cyber side of it, if you can get into systems, then you don't need to be able to shoot the thing out of the sky because it's going so fast. So it's really moving towards a whole new battlefield.
I think the whole thing is bogus.
Yeah.
First of all, hypersonic is nothing new. I remember, and I'll give you the story. I first heard of, and I think they experimented with a hypersonic missile, the Air Force, I believe, in the 80s. And the reason I say that is because when I wrote the book Hypergrowth with Adam Osborne, that's where I got the term from. I used hypergrowth, I coined it based on, I saw a hypersonic missile test in the 80s, and I said, that's a great name for something super fast.
Yeah.
And so I took the term. So this is there's something basically bogus about this whole thing. It looks like some sort of an excuse to spend more money.
It wouldn't surprise me. I think we've discussed this before. If Putin and Trump are just talking to each other, all right, man, Do that demo that you have of that hypersonic thing, so we can both start building some more and do a little more, get some more money out of our government coffers. It would make nothing but sense.
And the other thing is when they showed that hypersonic launch, if you looked at it, they actually put the camera on the missile.
Yeah.
I have seen missile launches from our silos. You can't get that missile is out of range of the camera immediately.
It's got to be, yeah.
Goes like a rocket.
Like a rocket.
But so there's something screwy about this, and it sounds to me like I hate to keep saying scam.
Yeah.
But there's a scam here.
Yeah.
Oh, we're way behind. How do we? Wait a minute. Stop here. We got the $700 billion budget. How are we 2 or 3 years behind the Russians? How does that happen?
Don't look at the audit, please. Whatever you do.
And there's the other thing. Now, going back to Shanahan, he is an MBA, and he did work for Boeing, and he was part of the 787 and some of these other major projects.
Yeah.
He might be able to do the audit.
He's the kind of guy that would be able to do it, or at least clean up the books. I mean, I don't think the Pentagon cannot get through an audit at all. So maybe just clean it up and kind of bring in some accountability. Speaking of which, I was reading one of those government IT blogs that I like to scan. Yeah. And there's a procurement system that is out for tender.
Oh, yeah, I get one of these things, too. The list is a mile long of stuff.
Well, the General Service, no, this is a little different. The General Services Administration is in the process of creating an acquisition platform as mandated by Congress from the 2018 National Defense Authorization Act. So this stuff is, it's done on PDFs, it's done on Word docs, whatever the hell it was, SharePoint. I don't know what they're using, but there was this mandate in the NDAA for an e-commerce acquisition. Guess who's been doing all the work on this e-commerce acquisition platform?
You tell me.
Amazon.
Oh, yeah, Amazon's got their fingers in everything.
No wonder they're there in Virginia. This is why now it starts to become clear what's going on. Amazon is the government. With the CIA cloud services, now with all procurement platform.
Yeah, which will be just a rewrite of the Amazon code that the shoppers use.
They just take just white label. There you go. Plug in your products. Seems pretty good. They already advised on the portal. Just on the RFP, they advise. It's a shoo-in for these guys.
Well, if you advise on the RFP,
yeah, you're
advising for yourself. You're pointing the finger at you.
That's how our process works. It's the beauty of government contracts. I did want to
he's becoming to look more like an evil Bond character.
Yeah. Just on the pullouts of Afghanistan and Syria. I do have a bit of a retrospective. If you just want to listen to the news from 2011, the world is exactly flip-flopped. Please hear how, as we know now, as Trump's pulling out of Syria, Afghanistan, we're screwing our partners, it's ISIS, it's going to be horrible. More war, need more stuff, more missiles, hypersonic. It was exactly the opposite with the two parties in 2011.
The US president has been accused of ignoring the advice of his top military commanders on troop withdrawals from Afghanistan. Barack Obama announced that 33,000 troops will be home by September next year. Military chiefs say that plan is riskier and more aggressive than the one they recommended.
Republicans believe Barack Obama's Afghanistan decision has more to do with politics than military thinking.
Were there any of the Joint Chiefs or any of the commanders on the ground that recommended this particular action that the president is taking?
Again, I'm not going to talk about individual recommendations.
The chairman of the Joint Chiefs did acknowledge that withdrawing 10,000 U.S. troops this year wasn't his choice.
And it was more aggressive, and it has more risk than, I was originally prepared than I recommended.
Of course. And Afghanistan Commander General David Petraeus told a Senate hearing it wasn't his either.
The ultimate decision was a more aggressive formulation, if you will, in terms of the timeline than what we had recommended.
The US military leaders say it's their job to salute and execute the president's order. Senior Republicans are worried that coalition allies won't hang around. France and Germany plan to follow the US lead.
I predict to you now that our allies will accelerate their reductions in presence in Afghanistan.
For the most part, our allies, the Australians, others, are saying we're in it, we're committed.
The president was at Fort Drum thanking Afghanistan veterans.
Our job is not finished.
Many Democrats wanted Barack Obama to go much further and are still hoping the drawdown will only accelerate.
My, oh my, oh my.
Wait a minute. This doesn't make any sense. The Democrats wanted Obama to draw down even faster.
Yeah, I guess
and now
so.
They want us to put people back in.
That's crazy.
It's making no sense to me.
And then,
these Democrats.
And then in 2014, the president, Obama at the time, came out to the Rose Garden,
bringing America's longest war to an end. President Obama called reporters to the White House Rose Garden to lay out his plan for pulling out the 32,000 U.S. troops now left in Afghanistan.
America's combat mission will be over by the end of this year. Starting next year.
I just noticed in the first report, they talk about 33,000, magic number. We're always looking for it in reports. And then in this one, we've lost 1,000.
Now left in Afghanistan.
Oh, hold on. Where was it? It was 32,000 instead of 33. I don't know if it has any significance, but, you know.
To lay out his plan for pulling out the 32,000 U.S. troops now left in Afghanistan.
America's combat mission will be over by the end of this year. Starting next year, Afghans will be fully responsible for securing their country.
Yeah.
American personnel will be in an advisory role. We will no longer patrol Afghan cities or towns, mountains or valleys. That is a task for the Afghan people.
Afghan forces have been in the lead against insurgents since last year, and the 9,800 U.S. troops will stay to continue training them and to support counterterrorism operations.
And, of course, that pullout also didn't happen. So that's what it was when Obama was president and everyone was on board. And I think we were also like, yeah, good. Get him out. Draw it down. Stupid. Stop. We're staunch anti-war. Last time I checked.
These bogus wars.
Yeah. For the poppies.
For the poppies, mostly. Yeah.
But it feels a bit like there may be... Well, we'll get to that in a moment. It's just there's wars.
Well, what?
Well, there's war starting everywhere. Well, I'm not quite sure why this was thrown out there and why the script has been replicated, but it has.
People can be seen lighting things afire. This has been taking place all throughout this week. There have been numerous clashes and numerous people who have been arrested, and they are revolting against the poverty in the country. And this all started after a journalist said that he was going to light himself on fire. He posted a video that I'll bring up here where he talked about how he had been trying to find a good job for the last 8 years without any luck.
This is in Tunisia, where the Arab Spring started.
In this video, you can actually see him holding a bottle of gasoline. He says he's going to light himself on fire, and he's calling on the unemployed to take to the streets to revolt. We later see in another video that he is lit on fire, and he ended up dying. It's unclear whether he lit that match himself or if someone else did. But what we have seen are these mass protests in Tunisia as a result, and some people say that this is actually reminiscent of what we saw in 2010. Remember this man, the Tunisian street vendor, who set himself on fire to protest against police harassment, and that led to revolts not only in his country, but of course all throughout the Middle East. Well, in the 8 years since that happened, in the 8 years since the Arab Spring began, this journalist says that nothing has changed in his country, and in his words, that everything is lies. And that is why he has called his fellow Tunisians to take to the streets to revolt against the economic conditions in his country.
Now, this was a report from AFP, French international outfit.
Right.
And they have lots of, what do you call it, interests in the region.
No, it was a French outpost, actually.
Yeah, exactly. But they have interests in the region as well. And so now we have an out-of-work journalist who hasn't been able to get work for, 8 years?
what he says.
Yeah. We don't know who he is. We don't know who he worked for. We don't know if someone lit the match or if he did it. I don't even know if it's him in the video, but someone's trying to get something started.
Yes, this looks like a provocation. And what's interesting about this, and this is, of course, you're right, it's a fractal of the earlier event which started the Arab Spring, is that Muslims aren't the ones who self-immolate. It's the Buddhists that do that. Maybe these guys are Buddhists.
Fractal. Yes, fractal.
So I find the whole thing suspicious and interesting.
Well, there's stuff going on in Africa. Yeah. First of all, the Congo was supposed to have their election today.
Yeah, I have a clip.
Oh, good. I do too. What do you have? I have AFP again because they're all over this.
No, I got a network. No, I think it's
PBS. I see PBS. I want to listen.
Also today, Congo delayed elections in 3 cities where a deadly Ebola outbreak is centered. The cities are considered opposition strongholds, and the delay will affect some 1 million voters. They will now wait until March to cast ballots. The rest of the country votes on Sunday.
That's their entire report?
Yes. That's PBS. That's all they're going to give you.
That is your PBS news? That's all? They didn't even mention what's going on? Oh, this is incredible. Well,
this is my beat. I got the mainstream.
To review,
give us the real story.
Yeah, to review, I've been following the election. We've been following the Congo in general. Whenever Ebola shows up, that's usually when troops follow. We haven't seen that happen yet, but in this particular region is where very important minerals are mined for everyone's cell phone. It's the most oil in all of Africa. Apparently, comes from the Congo. There's always strife there. The Chinese are running rampant.
The most oil actually comes from Nigeria.
I thought that they have the most oil. It may not all come from there, but I think they have the most. It needs
research. Go on. But they definitely own the minerals.
They own the minerals, gold, diamonds, and there's 50 militia groups running around killing each other. It's all about power to get these minerals as cheaply as possible. Whoever leads the country will be the king, and whoever funds the king rules. And they had the voting machines, which they wanted to bring in. The population staunchly against it, call them, the lying. What do they call them? Maybe in this report, they see them as not real. That's not the way to vote. Crap. And of course, you don't want touch screens anywhere. There's Ebola, but there's also that. The reports from Agence France-Presse about the election doesn't even mention Ebola, if I can recall.
Start in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where opposition leaders have slammed the postponement of elections. The country had been due to vote this Sunday in a poll it was hoped would end the 2-year-old crisis over the future of President Joseph Kabila. On Thursday, DRC's Electoral Commission ordered the poll be put back a week in order to replace voting equipment lost in a warehouse fire. Alliance of parties backing opposition
wait for it, kicker at the end.
Said any further delay will not be accepted.
We know very well that this delay has nothing to do with the reasons put forward by the Electoral Commission. They give us excuse after excuse, but one day they'll run out of excuses. And December 30th will put a stop to their excuses.
Felix Tshisekedi told his supporters to remain calm in the next few days, but the 30th of December is a red line, according to the UDPS, a red line that shall not be crossed. Otherwise, the militants would take the matter in their own hands without waiting for the party's instruction, according to the Secretary General. Meanwhile, on Friday, Joseph Olengankoy, the president of a government commission charged with monitoring the elections preparation, urged the authorities to accept the UN help to deploy voting materials across the country so that the election can be held on the 30th of December.
Meanwhile, several people have been killed after a plane chartered by DRC's National Electoral Commission crashed near Kinshasa. The Antonov 26, operated by the company Gomer, was returning to the capital after delivering election results forms to the central city of Chikapa. There have been varying accounts as to the number of people on board and the number of casualties.
So while PBS omits the fact that 2/3 of the voting machines burned in a fire and that people from the election committee died in a fiery plane crash and they had election forms on board, oh, well, looks like they'll just vote in March. Unbelievable.
Yes.
Really?
That is PBS nowadays. Whether I don't know what completely happened, but they've turned into a very, I think it's like not even on par with NBC News.
Well, if they were NBC, at least it'd be something to laugh at. This is not even funny. Now, this may have something to do with China. This is what I keep referring to, but I really can't find, anything that points to them directly or who the key. I mean, we're obviously a player in this fight. I don't know who we're with or what side we're on, but China is now moving into the next phase of their no road, three belt strategy. And because Kenya could not repay a loan, an infrastructure loan the Chinese had given to them, they now have taken possession of Kenya's main port.
Economic hit, man.
It's bigger. This is huge.
Well, they just do it differently.
Yeah, no bloodshed.
Yeah,
I mean, people will be hurt by this, but in general, just give them an offer they can't refuse, that they actually can't even fulfill, and then take over whatever you need.
I didn't know they took over the port.
Yeah, it just came out. Over, yeah.
Wow. Well, that should be interesting. The geopolitics in China and Africa is just fascinating.
Yeah. So anyway, maybe now is the time to send in troops for, the Ebola issue.
Yeah, it's not close enough.
Unless it's going the way we want it. I mean, it would have to be. Not for Kenya, but I mean for the Congo, for DRC.
It probably is going the way we want it to go. I don't know what the troops are probably just to serve some other function. I don't know.
All right. Well, at least we're on it.
Yeah, well, somebody is.
Unlike PBS. PBS, man. Unbelievable. Then we have Wesley Clark showing up in the news again. Maybe
probably going to run for president again.
Well, that's an interesting point. Now, a reminder about Wesley Clark, he told this story a few years after 9/11 about something that happened to him in the Pentagon 2 weeks after 9/11, where he received the following briefing. We call it the Wes Clark 7.
So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
So that was the plan. That plan is probably still on the books. But here he is speaking of the pullout, which of course he would be staunchly against, although Syria wasn't on his list. He understands how the neocon war machine works, and he's a part of it.
General, let me start with you. CNN reporting that the abrupt decision to withdraw from Syria that started this cascading event occurred after the president spoke with Turkish President Erdogan and essentially said, take it, it's yours, we're out. Turkey is part of the NATO coalition that you once led. How concerned are you about this process or lack thereof and the essential ceding of influence to Turkey and presumably other actors in Erdogan's orbit?
Well, I'm very concerned because there doesn't seem to be any strategic rationale for the decision. And if there's no strategic rationale for the decision, then you have to ask, why was the decision made? I can tell you that people around the world are asking this. And some of our friends and allies in the Middle East are asking, well, did Erdogan blackmail the president? Was there a payoff or something? What is it? Why would a guy make a decision like this? Because did
Erdogan blackmail the president? Was there a payoff to the president?
Recommendations were against it. And it looked like that all the facts are against it, too. We're not quite finished with ISIS. We're not taking a lot of casualties over there. The Kurds have been reliable allies.
It's costing us billions.
Why do this?
We're taking huge casualties. The American taxpayer.
Right now. And this is the matter that's of most concern, or should be of most concern to us, is what does this say about the foreign policy of the United States? That we're not reliable, that we make strategic decisions based on no strategic logic. So
what kind of person's driving the helm? That's the issue, but this is a political issue, not a military issue. Jim Mattis took a political post in this administration. His job was to support the President of the United States when all the chips are down. He couldn't do it. He left. Trump's now replaced him. All that is in accordance with the way it should be.
The odd man.
What?
I didn't.
Everything's in accordance with the way it should be. Then what's your complaint?
See, I wasn't quite sure exactly. I mean, is this the truth wants to come out? Or let's just listen to that last bit again. I found it incomprehensible.
Not a military issue. Jim Mattis took a political post in this administration. His job was to support the President of the United States when all the chips are down. He couldn't do it. He left. Trump's now replaced him. All that is in accordance with the way it should be.
Interesting.
That must be a truth should come out thing.
I'm not quite sure. This is okay. What he may be saying is Mattis is out, and that's the way it should be. We needed him out of there for something else, or we needed the other guy in. Or
no, Mattis is not getting any work anywhere. I mean, I made it very clear in the newsletter, and I'll reiterate this. One of the points. He was a board member and made a big point of being a board of getting on the board of Theranos, perhaps the biggest scam in Silicon Valley history. And he's on the board of directors, this guy. And that's because, and I kind of accuse him of being a sucker for the blondie that ran the place. It was an eye batter, hi, with the big, hey, I have a deep voice, you know what that means. I'm sexy. And so, and on top of it, you have to remember this guy is a bachelor. He proposed to one woman ever, and she, at the day of the wedding or just before the wedding, she called it off.
What? I didn't know this about Mattis.
Yeah, he's never been married.
Eternally heartbroken.
5'9", so he's got a Napoleonic complex. And he is not a guy that you should just as soon not have him even working in a position of authority like that.
Because he's unstable? Because he got dumped?
Well, he got dumped on his wedding. He got run around by Elizabeth Holmes and made a fool out of himself. He should have never gotten a position of any sort after that experience.
Right.
What's he doing there? Couldn't see through the scam that he was dealing with.
Well, the problem with Theranos is that a lot of guys like that got scammed, including Colin Powell. He was in that group as well on the board.
Yeah, guys who were susceptible to some blondie, bleached blonde, let's make that clear, who likes to manipulate men. Hey, middle-aged men, very susceptible to this if they're, any bit, thinking of feeling their oats, as it were.
Let's see who else. Let me just look at this board again. Let's see who was on. Let's see who else is unfit.
Yeah, I believe anyone who was on that board is unfit to have any position of authority.
Riley
I think it's just it's a mark of the devil. You're out.
Riley Bechtel of the Bechtel Group, economic hitmen.
Bechtel.
David Boies.
The lawyer.
Boies, Schiller, and Flexner.
Yeah, older guy.
William Fauge, former director CDC. Richard Kovacevic, Wells Fargo, another crook. Fabrizio.
You can't call him a crook.
What?
So you can't call him a crook.
No, okay. I can't call him a crook. Was running a crap organization.
Yes.
Can I say that? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Don't want to get sued. Fabrizio Bonanni, Amgen. Well, that makes sense. And then Mattis. So he was really the board is much smaller than I thought. At least that was the 2016 board.
Yeah, it may have been bigger earlier.
Because I was quite sure that Colin Powell was on there.
Well, I think he has some association. Tim Draper did. He was in love with her. And
was. He still thinks she can make a comeback.
I know he does. This is true.
The guy's a little out of it.
What a character.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Washington Post is doing their job to make Trump look bad in this. A headline: in Syria, Assad's government is doubling down on executions of political prisoners. Of course. Atrocities. We need another Doctors Without Borders chemical attack.
Well, the last time there was a doctor's border thing, I think it was our troops that blew one of their hospitals to smithereens. Remember that?
Yep.
One of the big planes that has a lot of guns on one side kept circling it and pounding it.
The old big plane gun, a big gun plane.
Big plane with guns.
Big guns. Yeah, gunship, also known.
Gunship, yeah, that'd be it.
Turkey also now making all kinds of moves against Greece, making noise. There's so much going when it comes to the...
Yeah, we don't even know how much of this is accurate, though.
Of what?
Of all these news reports.
Well, none of this
Turkey's doing what with Greece?
Well, I'll tell you what. Here's the issue. The issue is, and I think, as always, it's all about the energy in the pipeline. So we know that Israel wants their pipelines to come up through Greece. Their Leviathan field. Turkey is in bed with Russia for all of this, and they want their Turk Stream to be the thing that brings everything in. They want to stop at all costs. And so they're talking about airspace, who owns Cyprus, all this crap. It's the same stuff they always do, but they're making noise, and they'll probably position ships in the region
or blow up a pipeline.
Meanwhile, Poland, I don't know if we talked about it. Poland has now signed their third agreement with U.S. liquefied natural gas for their country instead of taking gas from Russia through Ukraine.
I don't know what the Poles will do anything to get a better visa deal with us, I guess.
I got to tell you, that's the one thing that Trump really, I don't understand why he won't let the Poles be a part of ESTA. You can just visit the U.S. with a quick online form. He promised it.
Yeah,
but somehow
they're getting pushback from someone. A lot of people say it's the Israelis.
That would be Pechenik's conclusion as well.
But hey, Trump's done enough favors for the Israelis. He can do this favor for the Poles.
Yeah.
Who's gonna tell? Is the Israelis gonna turn on us if that deal is done? Come on.
No, I don't think so. So what I have seen in the mainstream. By the way, how was your Christmas? Was it good? Were you guys all together? Or were you up there? Were people down there? What'd you do?
No, everybody's scattered around, so our Christmas is coming in about 5 days.
Oh, yes. The Dvorak's always celebrating on a different date for every occasion. You guys kill me. Merry Christmas.
And I go out and get some sales.
Will you have the tree up and everything still when you all get together? Yeah? Great. Interesting. The news is, and I think it's a mistake, but they believe it's the way to go for ratings. They're now all pivoting after our end of year retrospectives, all pivoting to 2020. It's all about who's going to be running for 2020. They're just going to, they believe that political news, and I'm talking about the three big mainstream M5M news channels, MSNBC, CNN, and Fox. That's all they seem to be able to talk about. 3 B's and a camel toe. That's right, everybody. That's who's running. Bernie, Biden, Beto, and Kamala Harris.
Yeah, well, that's 4 of them. In fact, of course, we have dozens of people running on both sides because people think they can take out Trump. So we have losers like Kasich, who's going on about how he's going to run because he doesn't think this president's doing well, and the public wants him.
Huh.
I mean, these guys I've never seen so many delusional people. The only person that really, if we're going to go, if Trump can win, anyone can win. I can win. They don't realize that Trump has a high profile character that can win. He gets votes because he's so high profile. The only person like that is Oprah.
Right.
And people say, well, Oprah can run
and
beat him.
No, there's another one. Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks is, well, maybe.
I think he could do it.
Well, here's the problem with Oprah. We know of Trump wanting to run for president since the 80s. He's always talked about it. And
interestingly, with the same agenda about China, it has not wavered when it comes to that.
Doesn't waver much. Oprah was never shown any interest in it at all, so she'd be forced into it. So she's not going to do it. Tom Hanks, it's a lark. He doesn't want to go through the grind of it, especially a Hollywood character with all the luggage those Hollywood people have. It'd be miserable.
Right. But what I'm saying is the media has already chosen on the Democrat side. They've chosen. They had to take a stand because it's part of the strategy to block Hillary. Yeah, and every story you're right. Every story I've seen is followed by 70% of Democrats don't want Hillary anywhere near the word run.
Yeah, which is a lie. That's a lie. People who are screaming in the streets after Trump won and were gathered at Javits and were in tears afterwards, they don't hate Hillary now.
Right. Rand Paul,
they're just, this is a scam. I'm not going to use it again. This is a fraud.
Yes.
Hillary is probably the leading candidate, if you ask me.
That's interesting. She has yet to raise her ugly head.
Look how long it took the first time, because if she doesn't raise her ugly head for a long time, she gets to gather a lot of money, and that money goes in a different account. So if she doesn't win anything, that money still is hers.
Yeah. I agree, though. I have not seen the candidate that would make it work. Biden, 4 years ago, I mean, it's all about appearance, and I'll say it again. That's how we elect our presidents. We buy our soap. It's all the same way. It's got to look pretty, make you feel nice and white afterwards.
Nice smile.
Give you a nice smile.
Well, if you remember the guy, the ex-CIA guy who wrote that behind-the-scenes book in the White House during the waning years of the Obama administration, slammed Biden for being wrong on every single topic. Biden hasn't got a prayer.
It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. The president doesn't have to be right, especially if you're running. It's you're a sales guy. It's a sales guy and a poppy or a mommy.
You have to sell past the media. It's a real problem.
Rand Paul, I think, is going to make another run.
Oh, I think he just does that to keep his profile high.
Well, but he's changed something. He is honing his tweeting skills. I'm not kidding. You should look at his Twitter feed.
Okay.
He's standing on a beach next to a bunch of sticks. Looks like a bonfire, but I guess you could say it looks like a teepee. And his tweet is, "I came to say happy Festivus to my friend Elizabeth Warren, but I can't find her." I mean,
wow.
He's trolling.
He's going after Warren.
Yeah, that's a direct hit. Yeah. Let's see, what was the other one? Speaking of criminal justice reform, I have to give Jared Kushner credit. He was great on this, and I'm glad I got to know him because before that, I was a bit suspicious he was the kid from the Omen movie all grown up. I mean, this is...
that sounds like it's professionally written. He may have a writer.
He has a writer. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So he's making fun of Ted Cruz, posting memes of Cruz with a crazy beard, and I think he's testing his Twitter skills. He knows where the 2020 election will be fought, of course, or whatever.
On the Twitter field.
On Twitter. That's where you win. Yeah. Rules are changed. And he at least seems to understand that. I don't think he has it in him. I've always liked him, kind of.
Well, he's such a pacifist, the public will never go for it. We've been sold, the American public's been sold on a bill of war.
Here's Gillibrand on the Van Jones show on CNN.
Yeah, she wants to run.
Oh, she does, but she kind of cuts herself out in an odd way.
I have a vision for America about what's right in the world. I do believe we should fight for each other's kids as hard as we fight for our own. I do believe that we should restore the...
Let me ask you a question. What is the issue with saying, I do believe?
What's the difference between you saying, I do believe, and saying, I believe?
It would be, someone would say that because they have the feeling, idea, or perhaps proof that someone thinks you don't believe that.
But there's no evidence of that. She's just saying, I do believe. The reason that galls me, I see a lot of professional athletes many of whom are borderline, if not illiterate.
Despite their college degrees.
Rarely. Most of them have quit college because they can go to the pros and make all these millions, unlike the suckers who stay in school. So there
you go, kids. There you go. There's Uncle John telling you like it is.
So they're borderline illiterate, and they say, "I do believe."
Well, so does Gillibrand.
I have a vision for America about what's right in the world. I do believe we should fight for each other's kids as hard as we fight for our own. I do believe that we should restore the golden rule and actually care about one another. And I do believe no matter what block you grow up on, you should have a chance to live up.
This is a big thing, this block you grow up on or zip code you grow up in. And I hear this everywhere. This poor kid, you'll hear the music. This poor child, if only were born in one zip code over, would have had a very different life. As if the physical place. My sister was born in Uganda on January 1st, 1967. So you tell me,
that's a bad zip code.
That's not a good zip code to grow up in, for sure. So anyway, there's a lot of that.
You should have a chance to live up to your God-given potential, and that means good schools, better public schools, debt-free college, things that really make opportunity possible. So I have
debt-free college, another zinger. I missed that the first time.
Oh, that's a good way of putting it.
That's a great campaign line.
I like it.
I believe in debt-free college, because you kind of just. Yeah, hell yeah. I believe in debt-free homes. I believe in a debt-free car.
Debt-free college, things that really make opportunity possible. So I have that vision. Mm-hmm. And so the question is, do I do that from a presidential platform or do I do it from the U.S. Senate? And that is the question I will decide very soon.
We got a poll we should put up at some point. I did notice in that poll that the top three were, I think, Biden, Bernie, and Beto. All, 3 Bs and all white guys. In a party as diverse as ours, does it worry you to see the top 3 being white guys?
Yes.
I hate white guys.
Why?
I aspire for our country to recognize the beauty of our diversity in some point in the future. And I hope someday we have a woman president. I love the fact that Barack Obama was our president for 8 years. I hope more people of color not only aspire and win the presidency, because that's what makes America so extraordinary, that we are all of that. We are everything. And I think a more inclusive America is a stronger America.
What is interesting to me is here's Van Jones on CNN, the actual organization who has pre-chosen the 3 Bs. It's not like there's no one else running. So all we hear about is the 3 Bs and the camel toe. That's all we hear about, 3 Bs. Instead of saying, oh, it's the party. No. Yeah, CNN, maybe you should include some other people on your list to give them some exposure.
Fault.
Yes, it is.
I agree.
WAPO, Times, CNN. CNN's just, they went all in very quickly. And they seem to have dropped Kamala Harris.
2 years before. Give me a break.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I'm telling you, even the MH17 flight that was lost, after a year, CNN finally just had to give up. I mean, this too much. You can have too much of one type of programming. The public will not. Look, we've been in television a long time, John. If you switch and every channel you go to is election this, election that, it's going to get old. Ratings will slip.
Yeah, I agree.
But maybe it's all just the deal-making stage for the ads. Hey, look, we've been really good to you guys. We've done the 3 Bs, and we feel that
you might be right. It's almost like the network news people. I've said this before. We've talked about it on the show. Those network news. It's only old people who watch those news things. It's a dying audience. Although nobody takes into account that new people are getting old, but that's okay. It's a dying audience. It's terrible. No, the network news folk appeal to the oldsters because they have ads for them specifically.
Yes.
Lots of drug ads, aches and pains ads, incontinence ads, all the stuff that old people need. So it's not like they're screwing up.
And what's interesting is that the derivative of the audience they're talking to, and what I mean by that is little clips that show up on social media, that's kind of a bonus. They know they can't with a straight face say to any ad agency or media buyer, yeah, we got 18 to 24. We're right here in the pocket. They can't say it because no one will believe them. It's not true. they can say, look, we got 55 plus, and it's a big market for pharma. And the derivative is just what is posted online and circulates around. The people who are looking at this are not watching those channels. They're just taking the snippets and throwing it into the outrage machine and feeding back. And just, it's part of the big loop. It's really quite genius. Not that anyone...
That's how they make money.
Not
they
that
make
anyone
a lot more money than we do.
Now, before we take a break, I'd like to get your take on the gyrations in the financial markets, because the funniest thing I saw over Christmas was a tweet from the president after we closed Christmas Day with 2 days, was it 3 days down in a row, and horrible, worst Christmas close ever. The president, after Mnuchin has called the Working Group on Financial Markets to see how they're doing with cash. The last time we used that name, we called them by their nickname, the Plunge Protection Team.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the Plunge Protection Team.
The Working Group on Financial Markets. That is the Plunge Protection Team.
Yeah.
So he called them. This is sent everyone into a just no Santa rally. Let's put it like that. And then the president the next day tweets, "If I were you, I'd buy the dip." My mind exploded. He's doing buy BTFD, buy the dip, everybody, and it shoots up 1,000 points the next market day.
I think 1085, something like that. It was the most in history.
That was fantastic. He is the stock whisperer. Of course, you had to sell at the end of the day, otherwise you get screwed. I'm sure it's down today. No doubt.
Let's take a look.
I'm sure it is. I think it was down 300 or 400 points. It opened this morning. Yeah. Did you find it?
The best commentary I've heard was it's down 396.
396, yeah.
The best commentary I've ever heard was from some real old timer. It was on one of these financial station shows, and he says this is computer trading. It's just the way it works nowadays. You have a downward trend for a little while. The computers all jump on it, and they position themselves that it's going to go down.
Well, you know what it is? It's algorithmic amplification.
This is exactly what it is. He says it's gotten exaggerated. It's more exaggerated than ever because the computers will push it way down, and then it starts to go up, and and then they all go nuts, the computers, in a matter of form. They all go nuts, and the thing skyrockets, and then it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. It's crazy. This is seems like the perfect time if you have any clue about how it's actually working. You, as a day trader, you should be able to make millions of dollars a year.
Well,
but you get off cycle, you're
done. I think you can do it on indexes, but individual stocks is a little more complicated because there's probably 5 basic algos. I've studied some of them, and some really dumb that'll just go on a certain time of day if they're in upward motion. But they will suppress price, true pricing. I think algorithmic amplification may be the only thing today's algorithms are really good at, no matter what it is. That's what we've seen on the social media networks. Like, what do the algos do?
This is a good point, because this is actually stems from the fractal of the semiconductors. And one of the greatest things semiconductors could do is amplify.
It is a fractal. It's either compression or amplification.
They can do that too.
Yes, because the world, you're
Mr. Compression.
Yeah. Well, there's different kinds of compression, but compression in time, abstraction of operations, anything that can be compressed is it's in our human DNA almost to want to compress things. But the amplification part, that is truly what computers do. Amplify.
Compress, decompress.
Yeah. Huh.
Modulate, demodulate.
Well, here's
binary, man. Binary.
Hey, baby.
Up, down. Up, down.
It's binary, man. There's nothing else to it. Rick Santelli from CNBC had his own take on this.
Paulson is the Treasury Secretary during the crisis. At first they were going to borrow $750 billion to buy toxic assets. That never materialized. It morphed on the fly. Things could get messy. I can't believe some of the nuances, though. Really, they can't understand that anybody would be worried about liquidity. I'll tell you what. Go visit any major FCM in this business and ask them how many hours a day they're putting in when markets are moving like this. Or talk about margin and leverage, or how many times Treasury Secretary Mnuchin was concerned about market structure. All the articles beginning in December. Listen, I understand every nuance is the wrong nuance because the message isn't really any of these individual thoughts or what the Treasury Secretary is saying. The issue is quite simple. The central banks of the world propped up the stock market to a point where it can't sustain itself during normalization. And normalization of only a few of the participants in the grand liquefied scheme of things. That is the main issue the markets have to contend with, and they can point blame at whatever they want. There's an whole industry that does that, and this president certainly doesn't get the benefits of much of that.
What did he actually say?
I have no idea. I mean, I kind of was catching it, and then at the end he talks about the president doesn't get something, and I don't know what he meant by that. I don't know.
But, I think our thesis here is actually quite a good one, because at the end of the year, there's always stuff going on. There's pension, institutional rebalancing. Thank you, chat room, troll room. There's a number of things, but it's the algorithmic amplification that gives you these wild swings. And we can probably look to see, this is something we need to be on the lookout for. Anywhere an algorithm is running, let's see if we can find the amplification or over amplification, because eventually something has to break.
Yeah, amplification for amplification's sake is not the way to go. That's why audio amplifiers need a preamp with a volume control on it. You can stick your stuff into the amp straight up, and then it just gets blasted. You blow your house up. But if you have a preamp, which is a little controller that says, "Hey, I'm going to give you a little bit of this juice, not all of it," then it calms it down. We don't have a preamp for the economy.
Interesting. What the Fed, I guess, would want to be the dial turner.
The volume control.
Yeah, the volume control. I guess that's what they feel their role is. Turn up interest rates, turn them down, or inflate the money supply.
There's no tone control.
But then no. There you go. And with that, I'd like to say in the morning to you, and thank you to the man who put the C in compression, John C. Dvorak.
Well, I want to thank you. And I want to thank all the boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to the troll room. Let me see how many trolls we got here today. Let me just do a quick little scan. Wow, 896. That's not bad for a Christmas week. Well, in the morning to you, trolls. Good to see you got your troll polls with you. NoAgendaStream.com is where you can always tune in to the program when we stream it live on Thursdays and Sundays. Also, I would like to say in the morning to Comic Strip Blogger, who brought us the artwork for episode 1097. Title of that, Two-Way Sword. And again, lots of art. We chose this one because it was a nice illustration. It was the White House and a bunch of protesters in Comic Strip Blogger true form with his comic strip drawing, and they were holding up protest signs such as "Peace sucks," "Stop peace," "Trump, do war not," "More war, let's do war." And it was very appropriate, I think, for the episode. Was there any? There was other art, I think, that
there was some art that was okay. It was good. It wasn't great, but I personally liked this one because it had the tone that we're bitching about, which is all these Democrats, and you just proved that with some earlier clips.
Yep.
All these, peace nicks that want war. Peace nicks for war was the only sign he left out.
Yeah, he's not American enough to know that one. But it was good. We appreciate it. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com. We always love looking at all the art. The art is available for anyone to see. It is a part of the value for value system that we started here, and we appreciate the value that Comic Strip Blogger brought to the show with his art.
Well, we do have a few people to thank, including 3 whoppers at the beginning of the list.
Oh.
That came in with $1,000 plus.
Whoa.
Yeah. Let's start with Sir Anonymous Chiner.
Wait a minute. Do I know the Anonymous Chiner?
I don't think so.
I don't think I've ever heard of the Anonymous Chiner. No,
he's new.
No, he's a knight. He's a knight.
He's been a knight.
Yes.
But we don't know who he is.
Haven't heard from him for a while.
I don't think he was at the meetup, but he's in San Ramon, California, so could easily become a member of the meetup. 1098.
Whoa! We have not had an episode club member in a long time.
It's been a number of months.
This being episode 1098. I also noticed, by the way, I did the pre-stream art. It is 1098. As we count down the year, 1098.
Ooh, 7654321.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, back to our anonymous Chiner.
Hi, John and Adam. Sir Anonymous Chiner here. I've been a long time, believe it or not. I'm still a loyal listener to your show since twice a week after 7 years. This donation is for show 1098, but besides the obvious reason, another way to think about the amount is that it's almost tax time again, and Form 1098 is the taxation form the IRS slaves like me need to submit to deduct some of our mortgage interest from our income.
Huh.
Well, I'm working hard every – I see crazy in the next line. While I'm working hard every day to support my family and the house we bought, your shows really help me stay mentally healthy and have a sense of humor dealing with this crazy world.
Oh.
Wish you both a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Title change for me, Knight to Baronet.
Wow, Sir Anonymous Chiner. Thank you very much. This is fantastic. What a great Christmas present. It's appreciated, and we're happy you are mentally healthy.
The second big donor is Anonymous with $1,000. And he says, anonymous Christmas donation, first-time donation from one of the many anonymous Aussie listeners.
Huh.
So I humbly request a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Huh. And
no jingles, no karma.
Anonymous
now,
Aussie listener.
This brings up an issue.
Okay.
He's now a knight if he wants to be, but he says nothing about it. So do we just ignore his knighthood?
What have we done in the past? I thought the Peerage Committee had worked this out many years ago.
They did too, but I've lost the memo. All right, well, we'll just let it slide.
But thank you. But thank you very much.
He comes up with the title he wants.
Yes.
Or it could just be Sir Anonymous. The trouble is there's too many of those. Sir Mark Milliman in Longmont, Colorado, 1,000. He wrote an email, and he donates all the time.
Yes.
Let's see if there's anything here we need to know. Oh, yeah, I have it. I've loaded it up on the screen. Morning, gents, from the high stoner lands of Boulder County. It's in Colorado, of course.
Mm-hmm.
My Christmas donation is coming through today. It should be in the box by Christmas Eve at the latest. And it's in memory of my father, who passed away on November 9th from complications due to colorectal cancer.
Oh, jeez.
F cancer, he says. I think I'll take the executive producership, but this donation is for my father. So, okay. I think I hit him. I think I hit Barron, but I cannot find all the receipts, and I really don't pay that much attention because it's more important to keep the show alive. Also, I received tremendous value from it, so the value for value model works. The show means so much to me because it embodies what my father taught me about questioning what I see and hear and not to take things at their face value. Technically, I guess I'm a baronet since I know I'm a knight, and this doubles the amount. The other thing is, I like the way he's kind of frustrated by his knowledge of it. He slips it in and out. He's in and out of consciousness.
That's great.
The other changes given since then was 100 here, 100 there. No jingles, no karma. I don't waste time with the jingles or note.
Well, I'd like to do an F cancer.
Yeah, we'll do that for sure. Right?
Let me do it. Let me do it now. I mean, it's an important. Everyone's talking about it.
You've got karma.
For anyone who needs it. Thank you very much, Sir Mark Milliman. Why don't you let us know if you have a protectorate, if you are a baron, and then we'll gladly upgrade you.
Yeah,
There's no rush.
Finish. The note goes on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I do not need karma. He says that, but I do need karma because I need the satellite deal to come through, or else I'll need job karma. Your last Sunday show is right on target with my assignment of the Huawei, with my assessment of the Huawei situation. I already explained another component of the fuck Trump in China plan from the deep state. These elitist assholes don't care who they ruin, but Boeing, SpaceX, Hughes, and the others are involved in it, so they are messing with the big boys, except for Elon, who is just a little boy. He's in the business, apparently.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He's up in that area, you know.
Yes.
I hope you two have a Merry Christmas with your respective families. Thank you for covering these beats so I don't have to. My amygdala can't handle the M5M at all in its current form, including Fox News and WSJ. I always see so much more when I read or watch anything from the MSN. I always see so much more when I read or watch anything from the M5M.
Yeah.
Thanks to us. Adam, I hope your theory about AOC is wrong. I know she provides great source for the show, but she is an idiot. There is no simpler or nicest way to put it. The problem is that many of the millennial idiots think she's a genius. Let the fucking of Hillary begin. I know Bernie recognizes that his political life is ending, so he will pump up AOC. It should be entertaining. It should be an entertaining ride. We need to give him satellite karma for his deal.
And that, of course, is the bottom line. As long as it's an entertaining ride for the No Agenda show and our network, we don't care. Sir Mark Milliman, I know exactly what he does. I know why he wants the satellite karma, and I really hope it works. Here you go.
You've got karma.
We have some of the most amazing people in our audience. Did you see the great Twitter thread, the No Agenda selfie thread on Twitter?
No.
Oh man, I think who started off? Two of our producers, I think in Colorado, and then everyone was doing really close-up selfies of half your head, and we got some interesting looking people.
Well, that's a fact.
Oh my goodness, it was great though. Sir Chris, of course, with his washed up on the beach, been on a desert island for 30 years. His
for FedEx.
Everyone jumped in on it. You should look at this thread because we got good lookers. Illuminatia in her lab coat. I mean, it was just fun to see everyone working on the day after Christmas and where they were and what they were doing. I don't know. It was something about what people would call community, but what I call our Value for Value network or the network. It was fun.
Yeah. Okay. Now we have an interesting one. Kyle from Cincinnati, 799.88 from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Right. He actually, let me reach over. Hold on a second.
Yeah, reach around.
Reaching around. Hey, look out. Here I come. I'm reaching around. Always good for the dirty little jibe. That's what you do. Okay. I don't think, he sent a check in. And he has some, I don't know. I don't really have anything.
Shall I go back to my dirty jibes then again to entertain people? Or
yeah, go back to your dirty jibes.
Well, while you look, why don't I read a quick note?
I've looked. I'm not guy. We're moving on. He just sent a check with, I think, it's just a no jingles or something like along those lines. What I got a kick out is Kyle from Cincinnati, but he's in Chapel Hill. So
it's all right.
Right. If he wants to say something, let us know.
Thank you very much, Kyle.
Michael Halby. I'm sorry, Michael Halby. Michael Halby in Marion, Iowa. 33333. These are all executive producers, by the way. This donation completes my knighthood, joining my father at the round table. Been listening to the best podcast in the universe since episode 50. Also a listener of the Daily Source Code way back before iTunes had podcast support. And when I was still in high school.
Woo!
I even remember John on Silicon Spin way back in the ZDTV days. I've been extremely fortunate this year, so it seems only appropriate to cap off the year, completing my knighthood. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Michael Halby.
Oh, Michael, thank you so much. That's very. It's interesting. The old days back in the. Like this kind of a theme, with the old advertisements that you put in the newsletter.
Oh, yeah, if you didn't see the newsletter, you missed out. Yeah, that's for sure.
But someone sent me, I'll just play, you tell me when you want me to stop, a clip of you, which I think is from the 80s, and you were being interviewed about viruses. Can I play a little bit just as a...
I'm interested.
Now, why do hackers plant viruses? What kind of guys are these? We visited computer columnist John Dvorak to learn more about...
Whoa, where's the C? Whoa. What's up with that?
Yeah.
The psychological profile of the virus hacker.
They're young, they're mostly male. They probably like pizza and Coca-Cola. You can probably find them at a 7-Eleven. And they probably have weird hours. They stay up real late.
That may sound like the description of a typical teenager, but beware, because it may also be the picture of a typical computer hacker. According to the Computer Virus Industry Association, some 60,000 PCs across the country are infected by viruses every month. Hackers try to infiltrate the systems for a variety of reasons. For some, it's just a practical joke. Others may have a score to settle with a former boss. The real reason may be a whole lot simpler, but just as harmful.
Here it comes.
There's two things that make people create viruses. One is some peer group pressure. They're in a group that does this kind of stuff. The other one is boredom, because they, maybe if these people were employed, and actually there are some people who are employed that create viruses, and there's just a cheap thrill of doing it and seeing what happens to your creation. It is a little bit like graffiti art in that regard. Throwing something up on the wall and then taking off before the police catch you. It's not your wall.
John, I love this, hearing this stuff. That's it, man. That's why hackers do what they do.
Yeah. That was the hackers then, and then they decided they figured out they could make money, and that changed things.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a very different situation. But it's just funny. If you play some clips for me from MTV, I'll sound very stupid, believe me.
I'll get them.
Yeah, you should.
Hey, I'm not going to... Hey, people out there, I know a lot of you have collected Adam's old MTV stuff. Send me some of the better stuff. There we go.
It's not your wall, man.
Not your wall,
man. Not your wall, man.
It's pretty good. Meanwhile, Randall Scheibel in Somerville, Massachusetts came in with $333. I've been listening for the last 9 months, and I've decided to donate. Can I please get a de-douching?
Yes, you can.
You've been de-douched.
I would also like to call out two of my friends, Mary and Brandon, who I've punched in the mouth and they still haven't donated.
Oh, no.
They need a douchebag.
Yes. A double douchebagger.
Douchebags. Can I get a 2 to the head? Respect from Al Sharpton, and thanks, Hillary. I appreciate all the work you guys do for the greatest podcast in the world or universe. ITM Randy from Somerville.
Thanks, Hillary? Oh, I think I know what it is. Here we go.
RESPICT.
Thanks, Beyonce. You've got karma.
Thanks, Beyonce.
What was that?
It was Hillary saying thanks, Beyonce. I don't know.
Where did that come from?
Let me play it again. I don't know. It's my new search system. It's bringing up interesting results.
Thanks, Beyonce.
What?
That's our ISO right there.
Oh.
Thanks, Beyonce.
Christopher Beede, 333 in Indianapolis, Indiana. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to John Adam and the No Agenda family. I just read an article that joy from giving lasts much longer than joy from getting.
Oh.
Well, let me read that again. Joy from giving lasts much longer than joy from getting. So, I'm sorry to have to do this, but it's been far too long since my last donation. I know these podcasts don't make themselves. Many thanks, Chris Beede from Indianapolis.
Thank you very much, Chris. That's so kind.
Now we need somebody's jingle.
And you know what? I even looked ahead today just to make sure that I had everything lined up. And
News bomb!
Good enough.
News bomb!
Archduke Nussbaum. Virginia Beach, Virginia. 314.59. By the way, it's Van Steenbergen is our guy, our Marine. No, I mispronounced his name on the show. Oh. Archduke Nussbaum, happy Christmas and happy holidays to one and all. Make 2019 a rockin' great year. Love to all of the No Agenda Nation. Boom on the boners. Hugs for Adam and JCD. Now let's drink so we awake in 2019.
I think he's already started.
Random jingle, goat, no karma.
Random jingle, goat, no karma.
And boom shakalaka, brother!
You got it?
Oh, he said no karma, right?
Yeah. That's hello.
David Drew is in Henderson, Nevada, 23456. And he emailed something to us. His Uncle Dave on the old Dvorak blog.
Oh, is that who that is?
Yeah, Uncle Dave. He's coming. He loves the show. Sir Uncle Dave, Night of the Retired Old Farts here with the New Year's donation of 23456 and a personal thank you for what you two did for me this year. What was that you say? Actually, it should be what was that you ask. If you remember, at the beginning of April, I started my retirement with a driving trip to Arizona. While heading down a lonesome desert road, a deer ran across ahead of me. I swerved, and my newer used car, bought 4 days before, ended up on its side off the road, demolished in a boulder.
Ouch.
After cutting me out of the car, I was airlifted to the hospital where I stayed for over a week.
Holy crap.
In the following months, I healed my battered body at what some of my doctors considered an amazing rate, which I attribute to the No Agenda show.
Wait a minute.
Well, I don't always agree with your conclusions. By the way, people don't have to mention that to us because we know. Your studied analysis and commentary against the insanity of the M5M belches out quieted my amygdala so much so that I could concentrate on healing. It's an interesting theory. So he never got the swollen amygdala, and he could heal better instead of being all freaked out.
There may be something to that.
I think so too. And I'm not normally buying into a lot of this, but I kind of think that's probably true because ever since we found out about the amygdala issue.
Yeah.
Since I bet there are others who have been mentally healed by you, by the power invested in me, by me, I pronounce you doctors of deconstruction. Unlike my doctors, listeners can partake of your services without buying insurance, although a listener donation prescription is recommended. Of course, don't forget to list your doctorates on your LinkedIn profiles for when you find you need to get real jobs. Thanks, Dr. John and Dr. Adam. Keep up the needed healing work.
Yeah.
No jingles, no K, because you've always supplied me with enough already.
Thank you.
Dave.
Well, Dave, I think this is very interesting. Doctors of
deconstruction.
Yeah.
Next time I do a business,
it's very similar to the way medicine used to work in the old days. The doctor, the town doctor, no one would pay him. He'd get value in return. Here's a chicken. I'll help you build your barn. It's a very similar system.
They paid him.
Not in Little House on the Prairie. They didn't. The doctor was always out of money.
Well, so are we.
That's what I mean. So, exactly. It's the same. My point exactly. Thank you.
James Williams, $220.46. Should complete my knighthood, may I be granted the title of Sir James, Knight of the Paradise Star.
Nice.
I am thankful for the discussions of lesser covered topics, research performed for the show, and overall value of this product. Yes, this product is great. Jingles. Dark Side Yoko and Lone Wolf.
Will do, and I'll see you at the podium later for your knighting. It's been too long. It's been too long since we played that one. Thanks for bringing it back.
It's perfect with the wolf.
Yeah.
Roy Tenhava in Pijnacker.
Pijnacker.
$200.33. John and Adam, no long note, just a short thanks for all the awesome work you guys do and the entertainment and sanity you provide. Merry Christmas. Regards, Roy.
Thank you, Roy. Dankjewel.
Pardon me, Roy. Is that the cat that chewed your new shoes?
I've heard it differently. Is that the cat that shit on your shoes?
That would be the dirty version. Fakeologist. Our last associate executive producer is just fakeologist. And by the way, he obscured everything. I have no idea who this person is. He's fakeologist.
I think I blocked him on Twitter.
You did?
I think so. There's a guy named Fakeologist who I think I blocked and unblocked and blocked. He gets some people.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Does he have a note? Do we know anything about him?
Yes, I have a note here.
Okay.
My blog, fakeologist.com, is all about exposing media fakery. Every major media event, you can go check it out, is a hyper-realistic drill portrayed as real, including 9/11. It was inspired by the least promoted video of all time, September Clues, which shows that every bit of 9/11 video was prefabricated like a movie, including the 9 and 11 second collapse from footage of Towers 1 and 2. You can watch it on YouTube or on fakeologist.com. Meanwhile, can you call out douchebag Simon Shack? Douchebag. Hoi Polloi? Douchebag. And Napoleon Wilson? Douchebag. Thanks for your great work and have a good 2019. Fakeologist. He wants the following jingles.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, I should have told you this earlier. Sorry. Obama stuttering. Stuttering if. Yeah. Beautiful yum, which is going to be harder to find. We haven't used that for a while. I'm a rule follower. And Adam's favorite, WTC 7 won't go away. And we.
Okay, I think I have most of these. Let's give it a shot.
If we fall for
Beautiful. Yum.
I'm a rule follower, so if the rule is that we have to do it, then I'll do it.
WTC 7 won't go away. You've got karma.
Excuse me, Debbie Doubter.
Well, you didn't get the we in there.
I didn't hear that. But I didn't understand he wanted the we.
Yeah. But that was fantastic. I'm surprised you could find those that fast. But you did. That's our last associate executive.
There it is. There's the we.
I could have done the we. We. That's our last associate executive producer. I want to thank all these folks for being executive producers and associate executive producers and supporting the show number 1098, headed toward show 1100, which will be a special event. It's the first show of the 2019.
Yeah, that's coincidence? I think not. Well, I'm very happy with the gifts we've been given for the end of year, for Christmas. Anyone showing up at all, we never really know when actually we do know. This is very difficult to get people to do stuff in this Christmas break, and not only do we have people listening, we have people supporting the show, also with the other elements of our value for value system, with artwork, with jingles, with clips, with knowledge. It's also highly appreciated. And we'll thank more people in our second donation segment. Of course, just before the New Year's, we will have another show on Sunday. Remember us and support us at Dvorak.org/NA. Well, it's pretty easy today. You've got so much deconstruction, you can beat anybody. Just propagate it.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth. Order! Shut up,
I'm going to do something new today, a test, which won't affect anything before you get worried about it. I'm
not worried about it.
Well, it's something with the publishing of the show. Believe me, you're worried. But it's completely separate. I've been following IPFS for a couple of years and have been messing around with it. IPFS stands for the Interplanetary File System.
Yeah.
And yesterday I did the ultimate.
Isn't this something that one of these Tim Berners-Lee or one of these types of guys came up with?
No, not at all.
Who did it?
I think the main guy is a kid from Stanford.
Okay.
And it's not in anyone's interest except us to have something like this running. And what tipped me over, I revisit these things from time to time to see if they're useful. And I've come to the conclusion that IPFS, the Interplanetary File System, is almost useful for large podcast distribution. Now, I'm not going to get into the way it works, but very nicely, Cloudflare has set up a gateway. In order for this to work, and it's a distributed file system, and of course, it's the internet is the cloud, and everyone's hosting your files, and there's a lot of stuff that you've heard before. But this one seems to be something that can get legs because they've incorporated it into blockchain. In fact, it's very similar to what GitHub does. It's a very similar type of systemology or system. If you don't have the software running to basically a little local server to use because it's just a hash instead of a full URL, you can use a public gateway, and Cloudflare set up a public gateway for this.
They did?
Yeah. They said
Why?
it's to stimulate. Now, in all these cases, having a main front end or like a distribution network, where even if you can distribute between other peers that are hosting the file that's being requested, it's not bad to have a system that can rotate amongst these public gateways for people who don't have them. Anyway, long story short, I've started a second RSS feed. It's completely separate. I've tested it. It worked. It'll be in the show notes, nashownotes.com or noagendashow.com. And if anyone wants to try it out, because pretty much I'm uploading a 120 meg file, which is the average size for our show, and it's going into the IPFS. I'm not hosting it. I'm hosting one original copy on my laptop, and everyone who subscribes to that should be able to receive it. And I'm just interested to see how well that works. It's a test, but I think it's an important one.
Who's hosting it?
Well, no one's hosting it. It's
it just floats around as data in the cloud, and then it gets picked off.
Yeah.
So in other words, it's freeloading.
Well, it's no different freeloading than torrents. Only you don't have to have a central tracker. As long as you have the hash of the file you're requesting. That's what pushed me over the edge. I tweeted just a hash, not a URL, just a hash. Said, "Can anyone see this?" And it was a hash for an image I'd drawn that said it worked. And a lot of people got it, and they knew how to retrieve it. I was like, okay, so there's enough out there to start testing. I know there's just with all this deplatforming going on, there is stuff that's working. And I love trying to lead that charge because there's no money in this. There's no money anywhere. So it's like,
so somebody can't screw you.
It's like podcasting. If you,
hey man, what did these guys, because we're losing money because we're associated with them.
Exactly.
Yeah, can't do that.
So
well, good. I'm glad you're doing this.
There's also
it's the last thing in the world I do. I don't trust any of this stuff.
Yeah. Well, there's interesting because it's created with a blockchain. There's interesting ways you can add in payments for either hosting or storing some of it or for content. I mean, I'm not too interested in that part, but I am very interested in the ability to just share a file with anybody by dropping it into a folder on my, it's the ultimate goal. It's like Dropbox, it's like you.
Yeah, I was thinking Dropbox when you said that.
Yeah, and it just came to me as well. It's pretty much like Dropbox. You throw it in, you copy the location, which is not a URL, and then anyone can go and get it. Now, the issue, of course, is you put something up there, there's no way for you to ever get it off, or it's unlikely. Because once copies are made, you're removing it. Unlike Dropbox is not going to remove it. So you want to be careful what you put up. Anyway, that'll be a test, and I'd love to hear back from our dudes and dudettes named Ben and Benjamina and see if they had any success with that. And we'll continue to look.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah. How about this drone story? This Gatwick drone story is something I'd like to talk about.
I have a long version of it.
Because as I understand it, Gatwick was shut down for at least 24 hours.
36 hours.
This is an outrage, an aviation outrage. It makes no sense. Someone is lying. I mean, there's a million ways to detect, and they couldn't find it. There's no way to find a signal that was controlling the drone. I think there was even a picture of the drone.
Well, it's going to sell some new products.
Yes, I've noticed this as well. The drone dome security.
Well, there's a couple of them. There's one domestic. There's one in Israel. Both of them are discussed in the drone threat at airports report from NBC.
With millions of Americans flying over these holidays, U.S. officials tonight are growing increasingly concerned that our airports could face an illegal drone disruption like the one that shut down a major airport last week. NBC's Pete Williams now on the push to protect the skies.
After struggling with dozens of drone sightings by shutting down operations twice, Gatwick Airport south of London finally brought in a system designed by an Israeli company to detect drones, according to British media. The challenge of keeping drones and planes apart is growing more difficult, and even accidentally bumping into a plane could be disastrous.
A larger format drone, 10 to 15 pounds, could do a significant amount of damage to an airplane, and if it were close to the ground, it could result in loss of the airplane.
Even more worrisome is the prospect of an intentional attack. ISIS terrorists overseas have been using hobbyist drones to carry explosives or drop small bombs.
Congress has been slow to respond to the drone threat. It only recently gave the federal government authority to disable drones that fly into restricted airspace. And security experts say most airports are not prepared to deal with them.
Salt Lake City's airport is monitoring 2 of its runways with a system to deal with potential drones made by a Utah company. It uses radar to detect them and dispatches a drone hunter to bring them down. The company's CEO says it's not just airports that are unprepared.
When we go into stadiums, when we go to airports, there's fences, there's all sorts of checkpoints. And what we're learning now is that America needs to invest in airspace security just like ground security.
It's a rapidly growing threat with 2 million drones estimated to be in the hands of American hobbyists by the end of 2019.
I'm still
the drone killers are these drones that have nets, and they just go get to the drone and throw a net on him.
The one company I have is Rafael Advanced Defense Systems. They make the drone dome. It has now been ordered by the UK, first customer for the counter unmanned air system equipment.
Yeah, that's the one I think was discussed.
And of course, they did find some saps and blamed it all on them, and the media went wild, and it turned out, oopsie, no, it wasn't them.
The couple arrested and later released without being charged for a drone disruption at Gatwick Airport in London last week. They are now speaking out for the first time. Paul Gates says they were treated very badly.
As you can probably imagine, we're feeling completely violated. Our home has been searched and our privacy and identity completely exposed. Our names, photos, and other personal information has been broadcast throughout the world.
See, and even their response was so odd. I have a different theory, though.
Well, I would say if you're going to just go just a superficial theory, the company that makes the drone dome is the one who sent a drone in there. Mm-hmm. Probably one that's not controlled. A lot of them nowadays are you can just program the drone to do stuff, and it goes out and does it and comes back home or goes someplace else or whatever you want it to do. And you go in there and you mess with them, and then you come in there with your sales guys and say, "Hey, look what we got." That would be the most superficial analysis.
Listen, John, what's missing from this is evidence of any drone at all. What's missing from this is more than one aircraft reporting a drone. Yeah. Did not happen. There's no recording of it. There's no one saying there's drones about. Drones are all over airports. People are assholes. They fly these things, and I say that as an aviator. They fly these things everywhere. Airports do deal with this. And to shut down Gatwick for 36 hours can only be because of one thing.
What?
The unidentified flying object.
Hooray!
And I'm serious about that. I'm not saying it was a spaceship, but I think there was something unidentified. They couldn't figure it out, and they had to bring in a whole bunch of people. And we'll never hear about
it. On radar, because if there was visible, there'd be videos all over the place.
No, man, UFOs don't show up on radar. Hello,
well, how was this visible? What are you talking about?
I think it was visible. I've seen a picture, which I don't think is. I mean, who the hell knows? I've seen a picture where something is flying there that looks like it might be some kind of disc-shaped object. I don't know, it could be a Frisbee for all I know. I'm saying this type of shutdown for 36 hours is not because we think someone's flying a drone around, which we haven't seen, have no pictures of, no radar, no ground, this ground radar, nothing. This was something much bigger.
Well, it's not the Occam's razor kind of analysis I gave.
But that's not why people come to the No Agenda show, John.
The drone again, naturally.
More will be revealed.
Yes.
So I was listening to all the mainstream news, and most of it was about scammers.
Oh, really? You must have felt right at home.
Sorry?
You must have felt right at home.
Yeah.
Everything's a scam.
Scam. So, scam. So, I've got two of these clips. One of them is, I think, educational. I think people will enjoy listening to it. But the other one is just like, what is this stupidity? This to me is a native ad for Netflix, because the scam they're about to discuss is not even anything new and specific or specific to Netflix. It's been going on with PayPal for decades. But play the Netflix CBS scam for dummies.
The Federal Trade Commission warning Netflix customers about a new email scam. Criminals are posing as Netflix in these emails and asking recipients to confirm payment details. Experts say it's a good idea to avoid clicking on links in emails like this altogether. Best to log on to your Netflix account on the Netflix site.
Yeah, that's not the most egregious of them. The one I am despising is the Amazon gift card.
I have the gift card one, but it's not the Amazon gift card. This one here was a generic gift card scam.
Mm-hmm.
And Amazon was never mentioned.
Oh, interesting.
So it wasn't a native ad. In fact, it wasn't an ad for anything. I thought this was mainly because Andrew Horowitz's father-in-law fell for this.
Oh, brother.
Yes, and apparently Andrew was beside himself.
How bad did it get? What happened to all his
I don't know,
stuff?
but it was like something like $10,000 or something. Here's one. Here's a gift card scammer. This is the rundown of how it works. I have more details from someone from that.
Now, let me just before we play the report. Here's my observation with the Amazon gift card scam. It comes in, you see the subject line, and it's
oh no, this is not email.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I have an email issue. Well, let's listen.
Have some. Yours is different. You can tell us later, but it's not this.
Gift cards are an increasingly popular holiday present. Turns out thieves like them too. Federal regulators say in the past 3 years, gift card fraud has jumped 270%. Tony DeCopo spoke with someone who's been scammed.
All the steps that were being done and taken seemed real.
Trinidad Gonzalez says a man claiming to be her grandson called saying he was in jail and needed thousands of dollars immediately. He then put someone on the phone who posed as an attorney.
You know, I was hesitant because that's a lot of money.
But the caller said he would make it easy for the 76-year-old grandmother. He told her to purchase gift cards from Walmart and give him the numbers on the back of the cards. He warned her not to answer questions from store employees.
They asked me, do you know where this money is going to? And I said, it's going to my grandchildren.
That night, she figured out her real grandson was at home in Virginia. By that point, Gonzalez, who had recently lost her husband, was out $4,000.
And that was too much money. Too much money for me to hand over to a stranger like that.
According to the Federal Trade Commission, 26% of victims paid scammers with a gift card between January and September this year. That's up from only 7% in 2015.
It's a huge issue.
Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro.
Why wouldn't a scammer just ask for cash or a credit card number?
Well, typically with cash, you'd have to have a meetup somehow, and so they don't want to create that risk. And on a credit card, that's much easier to trace and easier for the bank to shut down the money flowing to the scammer.
Trinidad Gonzalez says she hopes her story will put others on high alert.
I hope it helps somebody. Somebody who, like me, thinks they're smart enough not to fall for it and to question things more, because I didn't question anything.
Yeah, this one that happened with Horowitz's, I think his father-in-law. It wasn't his father-in-law. The kid was in Tijuana. It was, again, a grandson. Kid was in Tijuana. He just got busted, and he's got to get out of jail. Otherwise, he's going to have to spend a month in a Tijuana prison or something along those lines.
Andrew's kid?
No, it's one of the kids.
Oh,
I don't know whose kid it was, but it's one of the grandkids somewhere in the family. I don't have the map of it, but it was one of these kids. Everyone knows who it is, and he has to get this money to him immediately. And so he went and did the same thing, same routine, and he sent all this money. Meanwhile, the kid is, parked in Loveland, Colorado, or just Fort Lauderdale or something. He's home all the time.
No.
And nobody bothered to call him or say, "Hey, because he wasn't in Mexico at all."
Wow.
And so, of course, now you have to eat crap for the rest of your life for being a sucker. But this apparently goes on, and it's a hit. Andrew is one of the people that's familiar with it. So people should know about this. These gift cards are dubious anyway. So what's the one you're talking about?
The one I'm talking about is you get an email, and I get emails from Amazon. I still order some things through them. I'm really trying to curtail my purchases from Amazon. Evil Corp. Right. So they'll send something about, get your Amazon gift card, and it's something about the wording. It's sophisticated. The wording, even the return email address, which is what you usually want to look at. And I've gone so far as to load images on one of these because I have my images turned off because that's how they track. One of the many ways they can track if you read their mail. And so, of course, the minute I turned on the images and I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't really from Amazon. I'd already signaled them that, hey, here's a sucker, send some more. And they keep changing the email address, and you don't really want to block the word Amazon, so it becomes a little complicated. It's a good one, though.
No, I don't know that I've seen this.
Yeah, it's like a $50 gift card if you fill out their survey.
Where's this?
You log in with your Amazon credentials. Hello.
Oh, you don't want to do that.
You don't actually get a gift card. Surprise, surprise. Earlier, one of our producers in the donation segment talked about AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and how stupid she is. And
idiot is the word he used.
Idiot. He said idiot or stupid? Idiot.
No, he said idiot.
Right. Well, I think she's going to be very big in our future. I've said this before. And her Green New Deal is catching all kinds of steam. If she made it the Green Nuke Deal, I could actually get on board with that. But I don't know if she'll.
No, nuke's bad.
Nuke is bad, according to the younger generation. No. But this constant, she is leading the charge of the children who have been abused by their parents and by the media their parents consume. It's all around us. And the message, and I'll just reiterating for those of you who are new, who can come to us from This Week in Tech, that we're overlooking the children are being told they're going to die. You have 10 more years before you die. The planet will be hell. Children are in kindergarten and are drawing pictures of the world as hell, a fiery hell, and we're all dead. And we're surprised by this. So to get us into the child abuse, which is, as I see it, abusing children to propagate this message, and this is a real whammy. This is the 15-year-old girl. This was at the end of the Poland climate summit. This is the 15-year-old Swedish girl. Just play that so you can hear the abuse that is taking place.
15-year-old environmental activist from Sweden is scolding world leaders on what she says is their failure to address climate change. Greta Thunberg addressed the climate change summit that wrapped up in Poland on Saturday, and she didn't hold back. She accused the negotiators from nearly 200 nations of abandoning young people and stealing their future by refusing to commit to measures that will truly halt global warming.
You are not mature enough to tell it like it is. Even that burden you leave to us children. But I don't care about being popular. I care about climate justice and a living planet. Our civilization is being sacrificed for the opportunity of a very small number of people to continue making enormous amounts of money.
Now, Thunberg became a hero to many young environmentalists after she skipped school back in September to protest climate change outside the Swedish parliament.
So this is... Yes?
This is the girl I played the clip of last show.
Yes.
The show before.
I know. That's why I said to reiterate.
Ah.
It's the key word. Now, so this type of abuse of this young girl, which is being propagated onto her peer group, and she's looking for climate justice, which I love that she's looking for that, has resulted in an affliction. And the affliction needs to be dealt with. It is serious. A lot of kids have it, and it is called climate grief.
If you pay attention to climate change news these days...
This is NBC.
It's pretty distressing.
I don't know if I'm hopeful that we will avoid climate catastrophe. It seems like that window of time is rapidly closing.
Climate catastrophe, another good one. Hold on, I got to write that. Climate catastrophe. Huh.
Marcella Mulholland is 21 years old. She's a college student from Orlando. For a few years now, she's been feeling angst over the climate.
Choosing to pay attention and to be aware in the world at this time is like a deeply painful daily exercise. And definitely anxious, like totally.
Totally.
And just really sad about the world. But yeah.
Now there's a name for what she's feeling. Climate grief.
Climate grief is such a thing, and I'm glad that there's a label for it now, and people are working on how to process.
Vocal fry out of your voice, lady.
That's climate grief because it's so real.
I asked Marcella, when did she first feel climate grief?
So the first time,
John, when did you first feel climate grief?
I felt it when I first saw him. I looked outside as a dead bird.
So the first time I became aware of like climate.
Wow, what does that tell? Why is she laughing? I was interested.
Did she?
Yeah, listen. So again, the question, when did you first feel climate grief?
I asked Marcella, when did she first feel climate grief?
So the first time I became aware of like climate change as like a severe existential threat to humanity and to all of life on Earth was my freshman year of college when I took a sustainability class.
Oh, there it is.
You got it. You nailed it.
You go to school and then they try to make you feel like you're going to die.
And I was really sad for a while. And I was just really mad that I had lived in the world for like 18 years and had never, like, no one ever told me that we were like rapidly going towards this catastrophe.
Luckily. Now, I don't want to take away from this young lady's experience. She may really be feeling that clearly she has climate grief. And they do have some solutions. There's ways you can deal with climate grief.
Amy Lewis Rowe and Laura Schmidt are the founders of the Good Grief Network. They held a session at the conference on how to deal with climate grief. Before the session, I asked Laura, what exactly is climate grief?
Climate grief is the gut punch that you feel when you realize that your imagined future may not exist anymore. When you realize that what we've done to the planet will not make tomorrow look like yesterday.
I asked Amy what she hoped people would get out of the session.
Tools and community and reminders that they're not alone.
So is this the climate depression session?
That's Kelton, one of the 17 people who showed up at the session.
That sounds like you or me when we were young. Hey, is this the climate depression session?
Me and Laura set up low-to-the-ground chairs in a circle in the grass.
In a circle.
The group was surrounded by tall trees and desert mountains, sitting under the clear blue sky, not a cloud in sight. It was incredibly quiet. The only sound was a little bit of wind passing by.
Yeah, that's how you go to the Good Grief Network and they take care of your climate grief. And I think there's one last term we need to learn.
A couple years ago, Amy and Laura started working on a 10-step program to deal with collective grief, things like mass shootings and climate change.
All right, 10 steps to psychosocial resilience.
Psychosocial resilience.
Holy moly.
What is that?
They shared their steps at the Uplift session.
1, accept the problem and its severity. 2, acknowledge that I am part of the problem as well as the solution.
Now, you're following along because this is going to help you get through it. You're part of the problem.
I'm glad that she's part of the problem.
It's so sad. It's so sad what these children are being put through. So this is the mantra that let's deconstruct them.
Acknowledge that I am part of the problem.
Right, what was the first one?
1, accept the problem and its severity.
So right off the bat, the severity is.
So they're using the 12-step approach.
Yes.
Oh, brother.
And so they're doing it with the first one is you have to accept that you're going to die, existential problem.
2, acknowledge that I am part of the problem as well as the solution.
Part of the problem. Man.
Step 3, practice sitting with uncertainty.
Practice sitting with uncertainty. These are life skills here.
Step 4, confront my own mortality and the mortality of all.
5, feel my feelings.
John, I feel my feelings. Jeez.
Feel my feelings? How do you not feel your feelings?
6, do inner work.
Step 7,
do.
What does that mean?
Inner work is working on yourself, John. Working on your mental health.
Meditate is what it means.
Meditate.
Take breaks and rest as needed.
Ah, there it is. Luckily, we can take some breaks and rest when we
breaks. I need rest as needed. I've thought about this over most of my life. I've thought about this idea of taking breaks and resting. Like going to bed.
Yeah,
and I think it's a pretty good idea. It should be on the list.
But this is more when needed. So you can say, I'm sorry, I need to stop working right now. I need a little break.
Oh,
I need
you nailed it. That's exactly what this is. More of the noodle boy stuff.
Yes, I need a psychosocial resilience break.
Excuse me.
Yes,
I need a rest. I need a break.
What do you need the rest for? What's the problem?
I just need it. I have my inner feelings. I understand myself, and I know when I need a break. And I'm telling myself internally, inside myself, I'm saying to myself, I need a break, and so I need a break.
Step 7, take breaks and rest as needed. Step 8, develop awareness of brain patterns and perception.
Brain patterns?
What?
Develop. Hold on.
Step 8, develop awareness of brain patterns and perception.
Develop awareness of brain patterns and perception. That's deep.
What? Deep? It's inane. It's okay. Go on.
9, show up.
Show up.
Show up.
Show up. 10, reinvest into problem-solving efforts.
Wow.
This is a 10-step program for morons. I give you a clip of the day, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I thought it was a nice little collection of.
This has made the show.
Clip of the day.
Woo! Foam finger number 1, baby.
Made the
show.
Now, one of the things I was thinking about this as you were starting this thing. You're going to continue, I'm sure.
No, I'm done.
But I'm thinking about the child abuse thing. Is when you have these. I never thought about it quite like this. As I'm going to express. So you have these kindergartners and first graders drawing the little stick figures with the crayons of the world on fire, and then you for some reason, how did they get this idea in the first place? And then you take the pictures and say, look, even the little kids are seeing the world as a horrible place. It's going to be burnt to the ground because of climate change. We've got to do something for the children. It's really sick.
That's exactly what's happening. And parents have zero realization of the harm they're doing. And Al Gore up front.
Al Gore's the worst. He's a demon.
I mean, it used to be you saw the sad little polar bear and kids could kind of get into that. Even though the polar bear can swim very well, doesn't need the little piece of ice.
Doesn't need ice, and the polar bear population has increased substantially.
Yes, a popular right-wing trope.
It is a right-wing trope.
Alt-right trope. There you go.
Alt-right.
But now we changed it to, in particular, this last report with we have 10 years before we die. And that's the way it's being interpreted, even though that's not even what it says. That has really pushed these kids over the tipping point. And as we heard in the clip, they all learn about this and all become afflicted with climate grief once they hit college, where they're taught you're going to die.
Unbelievable. What college was this?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
In a good college, well, at least when I was a kid, in a good university, the kids are pretty smart. and they question authority, or they used to. I don't think they do much anymore. I don't know. Maybe they're
John,
just stoned.
this climate stuff has been rammed in, and I mean, if you question climate change, you deny it, you're basically denying the Holocaust. I mean, where were you where all this has been taking place? This is, you cannot question. Science is in. How many times do we have to tell the children this? That's okay if you want to believe, and we believe in all kinds of crazy science, like we went to the moon in 1965.
Hey, you're muddying your own water.
My point is, when you tell the children you're going to die from something because nothing's been done about it, that's next level stuff. And that's where we're at today, and it's affecting children.
The joke of it to me, and I think in some ways to you and everybody that listens to the show, is nuclear energy.
Yeah.
Now, it's a technology that, I was thinking about this for possibly another book that I'm not going to write. Every technology that ever shows up is always dangerous when it first shows up. I mean, steam.
All technology.
All technology. Steam is a good example. They were blowing up boilers. People were dying left and right from boiler explosions from the 1800s, throughout the 1800s. And it took a long time to tame the steam demon. Nuke was not very safe the way it was being handled by General Electric and some of these other guys. But all those problems have been solved,
including the waste.
Yeah, everything has been solved. So you could it's the cleanest form of energy. And if you're all in on climate change and I don't have a problem with somebody who's all in on climate change. But what the problem I have is if they're all in on climate change, why aren't they all in on nuclear energy?
Because this was another great campaign. It started with the China Syndrome and 3 Mile Island, lovely plans right within a week of each other. With Hollywood, we're all going to die from nuclear. And
China Syndrome was a fictional story.
Yeah, and it was released in the same week that 3 Mile Island happened.
Well, I don't know if that's absolutely true.
Yes,
but
it is.
Was in that same era.
Yes, it is. It is true. We've even discussed this on the show, and I think you said the same thing. I don't know if that's true. It was like within 3 days.
That would be what I would say every time I heard that.
Yes, within three days. Yeah, it was. But if you look at all of the nuclear disasters we've had, and Chernobyl, I think, really is the worst. Because that was a military-grade installation which exploded, but it's not that many people died. I think low 20s. Of course, all of Europe,
the entire country of France is run by a whole string of nuclear power plants. They're all over the place, and they bitch about them. Nobody's died from any of them. They haven't had any problems. They're low. They're not the highest, most efficient, but they're the ones that are the most practical, and they're going to shut those down because of these idiots.
Yeah, Macron Manu has already announced that. Yeah, we're going to start dismantling. Well, Germany did the same.
Well, Germany did, and the cost of energy was skyrocketing. The economy actually went into a kind of flatlined.
Yep. No, instead, we're going to get projects that test aerosols in the air, and let's see if we can reflect the sun in the back, and so it doesn't warm up here, and the chemtrails basically. The geoengineering. I got stuff in the show notes people can look at.
Go watch the movie Snowpiercer. That's where it ends up.
There you go. Let's see. One last thing.
Wait, I got a couple. Let me get this out of the way.
Sure.
Since we were talking about scammers, I forgot about this one. This is a whatever happened to. I have this. You have a new thing on the show. I have another one. Mine is whatever happened to.
Okay.
These are clips from 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago that were scandalous things, and I'm asking whatever happened to. They don't even talk about this stuff anymore. Let's do charity fraud.
4 U.S. cancer charities are being accused of massive fraud. The Federal Trade Commission says the groups funneled some $187 million into top officials' pockets. The charities are the Cancer Fund of America, Cancer Support Services, Children's Cancer Fund of America, and the Breast Cancer Society. It could be one of the largest charity fraud cases of all time.
Whatever happened?
Whatever happened? No,
2015, whatever happened?
Nothing. No follow-up?
Here's another one. Here's another whatever happened. This bank scandal.
Bank scandal.
Or down right before the end of the closing day. So they were actually able to manipulate the currency markets. This is actually an antitrust case. So these banks are guilty of colluding to manipulate the foreign exchange market. And it's very rare that you see a financial institution that actually has to plead guilty to any charges, much less an antitrust charge.
So it sounds as if there's no question the people involved knew what they were doing was wrong, was illegal. What about higher up? Carrie Geiger, did they know what was going on? And if they didn't, why not?
Well, I mean, this calls into the question of basically how banks' compliance works. And banks, these Wall Street banks are huge, giant operations. And it looks like that the senior executive at these banks did not know this activity was going on. I'm sure if they did, it would have been stopped because they obviously don't want illegal activity happening in their banks. But the larger problem is that it's become virtually impossible, as we've seen over the last couple of years with all these enforcement actions against Wall Street, to police every individual that's working in these banks.
No, we just can't do that. We can't police everybody. No, only for stupid slaves at home we can police you. Yeah, whatever happened to it? Nothing.
That's the answer. By the way, as I continue this series,
yes,
that will be the answer to all of them.
I will have my answer ready for your series. I look forward to it. And before we take our break, to thank some people here, a word about. And this is another thing you always put in the newsletter, and I don't think we discuss it regularly enough. And that is advertising on the internet and how we made a conscious decision not to do that. We have content creation decisions, production decisions, because we don't want anyone to tell us what we can or can't do. Which when you bow to the god advertiser, you are locked in. You cannot get around that. But New York Magazine finally did a little bit of work in their December 26 edition. How much of the internet is fake? Turns out a lot of it, actually. And this is a whatever happened to. You recall the 8 people accused of click fraud, $36 million with bot traffic that masqueraded as humans. It was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
So this article,
whatever happened to?
Yes, I'll give you the paragraph headlines that they're dealing with. It's worth reading. No Agenda producers know what it is. So a lot of it's fake. The metrics are fake. The people are fake. The businesses are fake. The content is fake. Our politics are fake. We ourselves are, in fact, pretty fake. And it's a good article. It explains exactly what is wrong with advertising on the internet. And one of these days, I'll be able to explain in great detail what I mean when I say you cannot monetize the network.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
You can't monetize the network. We can monetize the No Agenda show because we have producers that help us pay the bills. Starting with Sir Matthew Black Knight of the Ice Giants in Davis, California, Aggieland, 13579. He has, he's a knight, so I thought I'd read his note. Got rejected after a job interview today, so figured I'd donate.
Uh-oh.
Remember that, everybody. If no one's given a name to this donation amount, I thought the oddball might be fitting.
Well, I'm going to give him some jobs karma right away because he's a knight and we break for knights.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
13579. 13579. Oh, it's oddball. Alex Loesch, I believe, in Chicago, Illinois, 13333. That came in as a check. Sergeant Postal, Miami Lakes, Florida, $100.33. Brian Hertziger in Elgin, Illinois, $100.
He says, another contribution is my testament. No Agenda karma works. Oh, that's why we did a make good for him. John, you should really find a better squirrel. My notes to you went unanswered. Passive aggressive.
I'll look for him. Beachview Farm in Oak Harbor, Washington, $100. And he wrote a long note in. He wouldn't never put his name anywhere. He sent all kinds of stuff. He sent us a book. I actually sent a book that he wants me to read and then send to you when I'm done.
Okay. Hey, by the way, I got a Christmas gift for you, I thought, from you.
Yeah.
I got a box, and I'm like, oh, my God, it's a gift from John. It was wrapped and everything.
Yeah, it was a gift from me.
No, it wasn't.
It says it on the outside. I scribbled a little note on the outside.
Oh, I couldn't find a note.
I sent a little note. It says, Merry Christmas, Adam.
Oh, and it was a huge, as big as my head, No Agenda mug.
Yeah, I had it made.
It's great. Thank you very much, and I feel like a heel.
You should.
Yeah. I mean,
and it was Jay who did the wrapping.
It was beautiful. In fact, we saved the ribbon. Let her know. She'll appreciate it. We're ribbon savers.
Mimi and Jay are the most amazing gift wrappers. And Mimi got into it some years ago, and her gift wrapping is ridiculous. In fact, she spent days on it. And Jay decided to top it. So she's doing all these ridiculous wrap jobs. And
that's very funny.
Mimi has this idea, and I know it would actually work, is set up a pop-up store in Beverly Hills during the Christmas season.
Oh, wrapping station.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do elaborate wrapping jobs.
Yes.
Pricing would be an issue. How much you price these things?
$20.
If you get one, I guess $20 might work.
In Beverly Hills, $20.
I think it could be higher. You ought to. I mean, that package you saw there is how.
Nice. It was very sweet of you, and I missed the note, but the ribbon was noticed. The packing job was definitely noticed.
Yeah, good. Cyberg Dave in Ypsilanti, Michigan, 8008. Had a blast on the social meds, sharing selfies with the Podfather and other producers. I'm not sure what that means.
That was fun. That was our tweet thread that I told you about.
Oh, the tweet thread, which I missed. Okay. Erkki Juris, I think. He appears to be in Finland.
Yes.
8008. And the Finnish names are not the easiest to pronounce. Stephen Hutto in St. Petersburg, Florida, 7070. Michael Robinson, 5433. Ty Robinson, 5335. Merry Palindrome Christmas. Eric Bird at Baltimore, Maryland, 5222. Chris Abraham, Arlington, Virginia, 5151. Ryan Smith in Raleigh, North Carolina, 5150. Joe Besessi, 5038. Judy Schwartz, Baroness of Kendall County in Bernie, Texas, 5033. Paul Ring, 5019. John Fitzpatrick in Heber Springs, Arkansas, 5019. They're related there? No. Jeffrey, the rest of these people were $50 donors. Name and location were appropriate, a little more than last time, to say the least. Jeffrey Zellen in Oakland, Michigan. Kenneth Lindeberg in Miami, Florida. Sir Peter Totes in Sugar Land, Texas. Darren Deniszewski, not sure. He's in Dubai. Denikewicz. Oh, okay. Yeah, that looks right. Send pictures from Dubai. Go to the big mall there and make a movie. Andrew Gardner, 50. Joe Winky in Santa Rosa, California. Jose Ferreira, Newbury, UK. Louis Pasteur, Sir Louis, I think, from Miami. Robert Makowski in Rhinebeck, New York. Mitchell Kaufman in Hillsboro, Oregon. Frank Molinari in Boulevard, Texas. And last but not least is James Wolfe in Los Angeles, California. I want to thank all these folks for supporting us by producing show 1098, 2 away from the show 1100.
Yes, and Judy, Baroness of Kendall County, Judy Schwartz, added that the job karma worked for her last time. She needs it again, as this coming month her team is being audited. But we'll make sure we do that. Andrew Gardner, Sir Andrew Gardner, initially wanted us to send new human resource karma to Sir Elliot Gardner for any day now arrival of their new human resource, and I got a late breaking email that the human resource has arrived. So instead of a human resource karma, we say we don't have any other birthdays today. So we'll say, happy birthday, Sir Elliot Gardner's new human resource. Welcome to the universe. Let us know what your name is. And Joe Winky, with $50 from Santa Rosa, this name, some of our older listeners or people who've been around for a while may remember. Joe started I think it was the genesis of this type of product. He started the healthysurprise.com box.
Yes.
And he used to send us credit. Yes, and he used to send us the Healthy Surprise box, and it had, there was stuff in there.
It was a healthy surprise.
Yeah, and it was, like product samples, and there was always some kale, which we would laugh about, and we would pretty much eat everything. Well, so he switched. I don't know if you recall, but he switched because so many people came in on doing this and with big money, and they kind of took his business away from him. He moved to Colorado. I think he moved to Colorado. I think
he moved to California.
Maybe to California. And he started a CBD company, Jumbo Superfoods.
Yeah, Jumbo.
And he sent me a little.
Or Jambo. It's Jambo.
Oh, Jambo. Sorry. And he sent me a little. Did you get a care package from him?
I got a couple of the CBD bottles, little bitty ones, the rubs.
Yes. And in his note,
that one goes in her stocking.
In his note, he said, "I'm excited to share our latest product, Jambo Superfoods CBD Muscle Balm. Rub it anywhere you want to feel better. Sometimes you want someone else to feel better. My recommendation is for you to give Tina the Keeper a slow, meticulous foot massage with the oil. Keep her feet off the ground for 15 to 20 minutes to allow it to kick in. You can thank me later." That's an endorsement right there, and we appreciate that. And, of course, we thank everybody who supported the program. We can't mention all, but many of you under $50 are there for anonymous reasons, and a lot are for the subscriptions, which you can all find at dvorak.org/NA. Thank you again for the production of 1098. And we will be back on Sunday with our final episode of the year. Remember us and support us at
dvorak.org/NA.
So as I said, no birthdays today other than the new human resource, so we can do some titles here.
Come gather round, douchebag, producer and slave, as we all thank your brothers and sisters who gave, and some of them nights, some of them days, for the titles are a-changing.
Our number one executive producer today, Sir Anonymous Chiner, came in with $1,098, upgrades instantly to Baronet, and we appreciate his support of the program. Thank you so much. 3 knightings to do, so got my blade there. If you can... Hello?
Yeah, I got it. It's right here. It's all oiled up.
There you go. I won't make my dirty joke. Kevin Smith, Michael Halby, and James Williams, hop on up here. Gentlemen, you are about to join the No Agenda Roundtable of the Knights and Dames, thanks to your contribution in the amount of $1,000 or more, and I'm very proud to pronounce the KV, Sir Kevin Smith, Sir Michael Halby, and Sir James, Knight of the Paradise Star. For you, we've got Hookers and Blow, Red Boys and Chardonnay, Single Malt Scotch, Early Times and BF4, Pog Poi, Steel Reserves and Black Milds, Captain Morgans and Women with Questionable Reputation, Brazilian Hotties and Cachaça, Rubenesque Women and Rosé, Ginger Ale and Gerbils, Bong Hits and Bourbon, and Mutton and Mead. And if you want your ring, your sealing wax, your certificate, and gosh, I love receiving letters that have been signed by a knight with the sealing wax. It's always exciting. Like, oh, look at this. Go to noagendanation.com/rings, and Eric the Shill will be more than happy to take your deets and get that out to you as soon as possible. Thank you for supporting the No Agenda Show.
And there you have it.
Just a quick note in this flu season, as everyone's being told to go and get your flu shot.
Go get your flu shot. Go
get your flu shot. Get your flu shot. This didn't get a lot of play, and it's kind of sad because he's quite young. Senator Jose Peralta, New York State, was a big proponent of the flu vaccine, flu shot, and he did a huge push to get everyone to get the flu shot. He got his own flu shot on November 20th, and 4 days later he died. And what happened is he became septic.
Oh.
Now, I don't want to blame this on the flu shot, but man, that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you can blame it on the flu shot.
Yeah. Just saying. One of those things.
Tamiflu, people. Tamiflu.
And there was an update to an old friend of ours, the Smith-Mundt Act. Or let's put it this way, there's an update in news around it. And the Smith-Mundt Act was brought in in the 80s, I believe. What the Smith-Mundt Act basically said is, as law, the United States government may not propagandize its own people. So it's okay if you have Voice of America overseas and you're broadcasting propaganda to Russia and China or wherever we have all the VOA stations, but you can't do it to your American audience. Now, it is true that no matter what, if Americans saw it because they sought it out themselves, that was deemed okay. But now there is a congressional issue, as it appears, Voice of America, which is completely funded by the U.S. government, the Broadcast Board of Governors, is violating the Smith-Mundt Act. And it's interesting because I've seen this and didn't even hit me, but luckily someone in Congress is doing something about it and has turned it over to the Attorney General. They have been advertising on FaceBag about their Voice of America services, and they pulled out there was a request for all of the ads that they've purchased on Facebook, and they're targeting them at Americans in American states by American age ranges, and they're in trouble now. I don't know what kind of trouble they're going to get in, but at least it's being raised.
Yeah, the trouble is a slap on the wrist.
Questionable content. Recent Voice of America ads run in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Promoted.
Wrapping the show around.
I can just stop there. You know enough. You know enough. It's how it works. And even though it was repealed in 2012 as a part of the 2013 National Defense Authorization Act, you still, even though if you find it on the internet, it's okay, but it's not okay for them to be targeting Americans to read this. So, violation.
So I have, they were talking about on Democracy Now!, they were talking about Mattis, poor guy, and then the Shanahan guy took over. But instead of putting it in a positive spin, of course, they won't do that. It's the positive spin, which we would put it in, which is that you got a guy, this big shot from Boeing,
right,
that can maybe do an audit and maybe get to the bottom of the Pentagon budget.
Yeah, maybe do some important stuff like cyber satellites and missiles.
There's a million possibilities that are positive, but no, Democracy Now! Doesn't see things that way. And I want you, let's start with, when I talk to you about Boeing, what do you think mostly? They make giant
planes,
passenger planes.
That's what most people would think of. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's play this clip. Mattis, Shanahan, Boeing.
The break for the richest Americans, and President Trump says he was improving the economy, and now the stock market has plummeted back to the Depression times. Explain.
Well, we've had an economy that never really escaped the crash.
This is the wrong one.
It's one.
No, you're playing Richard Wolff, DN1.
I'm sorry. What did you tell me to play?
Mattis, Shanahan, Boeing.
Oh, God, I'm so sorry. I apologize.
That's okay.
Here we go. We'll take it again from the top.
After growing increasingly angry with his defense chief, Trump said Mattis will leave on January 1st. He'd previously been expected to retire at the end of February to attend a NATO meeting. Patrick Shanahan will become acting Secretary of Defense. Shanahan is a former executive at the U.S. weapons manufacturer Boeing.
Why didn't you say aerospace and defense, which would be the actual term?
Yeah. No, weapons manufacturer.
Weapons, killing machine maker. Yes, Judy. No, what's her name?
Amy.
Amy. Yes, Amy.
Amy, that with the permanent vocal fry.
In case you missed it, that's our number one foam finger industry, killing machines.
Yep, it is. So she brought on this economist from one of the schools, and he's a Trump hater. And this is where this is a clip you just played before. Okay. The guy, he makes an assertion about you. if you were Trump, you wouldn't even pass Economics 101, Economics 1, which is fine. But I want to play 2 clips from him where I don't think he could pass it either.
Okay.
Let's start with this clip 1.
The break for the richest Americans. And President Trump says he was improving the economy, and now the stock market has plummeted back to the Depression times. Explain.
Well, we've had an economy that never really escaped the crash of 2008. In a way, the last 10 years have been an economy on life support. Vast amounts of money pumped into the economy, record drops in interest rates, inviting everybody, business, individuals, governments, to borrow money, a debt-sustained situation. And after a while, you can't mount up the debt on the basis of an economy that hasn't really gotten going. And we're seeing the eventual break. The capitalist system has a downturn every 4 to 7 years. It's had that for centuries. And the last big downturn was 2008 and 9. So if you do 4 and 7, you add it to 9. We're due for one. And every major stock market.
Stop the clip for there.
It's like conspiracy theory stuff. You add the 3 to the 1 times 5, you get 33.
He says you have a downturn every 4 to 7 years.
That's almost double.
If you look at 2009 and you add 4 plus 7.
He just threw that in there. He just makes it up.
What? You don't add the numbers?
It's 4 or 7.
So let's play it out so you have his assertion about not passing Economics 1.
Centuries. And the last big downturn was 2008 and 9. So if you do 4 and 7, you add it to 9. We're due for one. And every major stock market observer, bank, and so on predicts that we're having a downturn. So it's really only a question of exactly when, and the stock market anticipates this, and so we're having, in a way, economic chickens coming home to roost, and the notion that it's just the Fed's policy that explains this is really the kind of remark that would get a student a very low grade in any economics course.
Yeah.
Okay. So you'd get a low grade, of course. I guess maybe it's math that he would get the low grade.
Yeah, get a kind of lowish grade, yeah.
But he does have an economics issue with the next clip, which I think is just even better.
But, Richard, why, if over the last 10 years the Federal Reserve kept interest rates so low and provided so much cheap money, and why hasn't inflation increased dramatically in the U.S. over this period of time?
Well, the irony is it's one of the bizarre ways an economy works. There was no incentive to take all that money and go in and produce things that might have driven up prices and so on.
What?
If you produce things, you would put a glut. It would reduce prices. It wouldn't push prices up and such.
Who is this guy?
This guy's Richard Wolff, Wolfe, and he is like an economist at one of the schools back east.
Yeah.
And it's like everything he says is like that. It's like
nobody knows. There's nobody knows. It's like it's back to our
no, but I'm talking about basic economic theory that you're taught in college.
Yeah.
Supply and demand.
Yes, that's it.
Supply increases, the price goes down.
It
doesn't go up.
Not in his book.
And such, which is another thing that by the way,
and such.
And such.
I think we just add that to everything, and such.
And such.
You can just end a sentence. Listen, I'm not having any of this, and such.
And such.
And such. Adios, mofos, and such. Yeah, it works everywhere. You can put it in everything.
Yeah, it's great. It's one of the best.
Yeah.
The Mark Levin, the radio guy, he always says, and so on and so forth. He would say, yeah, this pillow's got feathers and so on and so forth.
And such.
And such.
I think the combo is and so on and so forth and such. I think the combo is the way to go.
All right, well, we can maybe get a job in radio.
Dogs are people, too.
Yes. Well, a lot of dogs. Britain, United Kingdom, Gitmo Nation East, is now forbidding puppies and kittens from being sold by pet shops.
What?
Yes. The government said it will roll out the legislation next year. There's a 95% support for the ban. Here we have a quote.
There's a 95% support?
Yes. This will mean that anyone looking to buy or adopt a puppy or kitten under 6 months must either deal directly with the breeder or with an animal rehoming center.
Animal rehoming?
Yes, it's a great
it's another show title.
Animal Rehoming Center with RE and such. The Department of Environment, Food, and Rural Affairs, DEFRA, said this on Sunday as a part of its Christmas animal welfare push. Yes, that's too much. These the people want a dog, a puppy, and a kitten. They don't really want it, and they get abused, and they toss them out, and they get mistreated. This does give me the opportunity
kind of a generality.
Well, that's what it's the Brits. I did want to say one thing as we're, a couple months away from moving out of downtown Austin for a number of reasons.
You're planning to leave downtown, probably one of the nexus point in the universe, and you're living in it, and you're going to leave it.
Well, I'm not going to move that far.
Oh.
Just need to get out of downtown. Two big reasons. This building, just to keep in with the dogs or people too, is what is known as a pet-friendly building.
And it's something you don't want.
Well, I think that when you have a building like this and you make it smoke-free, pet-friendly, you probably expect there to be people with dogs.
Yeah.
But today, I think we have about 70% of the apartments in this building have dogs.
Okay.
Usually more than one.
Oh.
The problem is
because the dog needs a friend.
The problem is every day, everywhere, every entrance, every exit, for the garage to the elevators, everywhere, there's hair and dog piss. Everywhere. And of course, they don't clean every single day. It's also not feasible, really, to do that. So the dogs, the pet owners are becoming a problem because they it's really disgusting. I'll do a video. Just piss.
That would be fantastic.
Piss
yes.
Everywhere.
I'll link to it in the newsletter.
Yes. I'll make sure you get that. The other problem has just been upped once again is the dockless mobility craze that Austin is ground zero. You're right. We're at the nexus. Now the Ford Motor Company, who have Spin, a rideshare company, dropped 100 extra scooters into the Austin streets on Friday with hundreds more planned.
Jeez, the scooter overload.
How many do you think we have in downtown Austin now today?
10,000.
Wow, 9,000. The city of Austin allows each, this is from KXAN, our local NBC affiliate. The city of Austin allows each rideshare company to have up to 500 scooters in the downtown area, but there's no limit on how many companies can operate in the city. As a result, there are about 9,000 scooters licensed to operate in downtown Austin, operated by 7 major companies, which sounds kind of wrong.
Doesn't sound right. The math doesn't work.
If you're allowed to have 500...
Yeah, there should only be 3,500 scooters.
Right, but there's 9,000 now downtown. And yesterday, I cast my first one aside in anger. Because I'm pretty mellow. But it was right in the middle of the sidewalk. And now there's a Torchy's that's opened up near our building. It says upscale shitty tacos. It's a taco place.
A taco place in Texas that's a chain?
Oh, yeah. Oh, we have tons of chains here.
Huh.
Yeah. Torchy's. And so someone rode the torch in the lunch hour, parked it right in the middle of the sidewalk. I picked it up by its stem and threw it in anger against the wall of Torchy's. And I felt, interestingly, I felt pretty good about it. But they all have these wires. I got to study them. I got to talk to
our friend.
Yeah, our friend who does this. I'm just going to carry along a clipper. Just clip the wires.
Oh, that's a funny idea.
Not if it's the brake. I don't know which. I don't
the brake line. You can figure that out. Find out what wire you want to clip. It's got to be some electrical thing.
We got to clip something because it's a scourge.
Yeah.
Anyway, yay Austin, woo!
So you're moving to where though? You're downtown in the nexus of all the action. So there's dog pee, probably poop.
Oh, that's
the library's near. A lot of poop.
The library is right nearby, filled with homeless.
With homeless.
Under the brand new bridge between the extension of downtown, the westward extension. There's a footbridge,
so
bicycle
it really
bridge.
is turning into California.
Completely.
California, Uber alles.
Yeah, exactly.
So where are you moving?
I'm going to stay in Austin, just out of downtown.
So you're looking now? Did you find a place yet?
Since we'll be renting.
Why don't you buy a piece of property outside of town?
With what? With what, John? With what?
With your good looks.
Yeah.
I think you get credit.
I have a FICO score in the 500s.
No, never mind.
Yeah, Tina barely wants to marry me because of it. She's afraid that her FICO score of 9,000 will be affected. See, she could get anything she wants. It's me that's the problem.
Well, let her do the preliminary work, get the thing set up, and then get married afterwards.
What are we going to do? I don't want a house. I want to be able to get out when if it gets too bad.
Hut.
Yeah, with your Quonset hut. Listen, we're in our 50s. Neither of us is going to make this as an investment. Yeah, let's invest. Have you seen the property taxes? It's worse than California now. So
Californians all moved to Austin.
Yeah,
Get out of here. The weather is better in Austin. Yeah, place to go.
Yeah.
Well, good luck in your happy hunting.
Yeah, we'll find something. We'll find something good. Yeah, I mean, we don't need much, and it'll be cheaper for sure.
Well, that's a plus.
Austin is, I think, now the most expensive city to live in.
It's ridiculous.
Yes, it is ridiculous.
Why don't you two move to New York City?
Yeah, it's worth considering. I mean, you can move anywhere, but it's not just the cost. It's it's a douchebaggery. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, I think you're adapting to the Texas lifestyle.
Yeah. Yes, I don't want my Texas lifestyle tainted by California goo.
Yeah, well, or dogs.
I have one last clip.
Japan begins whaling again. I think that is a story that we need to follow.
Yeah, I saw big headlines about it.
Japan says it will quit the International Whaling Commission and resume commercial whale hunting for the first time in 30 years. Japanese officials say whale stocks have recovered sufficiently, something wildlife groups dispute. The new hunts will be limited to Japan's territorial waters and will not extend to the Antarctic.
No, okay.
So
that's their own water.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want.
I think so. What do they use besides that? Oh, it's sad we're killing whales. What is so important about whaling?
They use the fat in a lot of their cosmetics.
Okay.
And they eat the meat.
And they don't care. Are whales in extinction mode?
The Japanese claim they're back on track to propagating, and the whaling authorities say no, they're not. So we don't know the facts.
Okay. It does make a lot of people hate Japanese again.
Well, yeah, it does.
European Union Parliament member, forget her name, Reese, I think her name is on a mission. To get rid of the use of single-use plastics. This is a European Union mandate that will be coming down the pike to all the at the national state level. You will not be able to purchase or consume single-use plastics. She explains what she means and what that means here, but the kicker is at the end.
The effort to end plastic pollution in our oceans was one of the key themes of 2018, with European Union lawmakers ending the year with an agreement to ban certain single-use plastics by 2021. Belgian MEP Frederique Ries is behind the law.
The balloon sticks, the stirrers, the cotton buds, the straws. I should have started with the straws. The plates are going to be banned. And why are they going to be banned? Because they are the articles that you mostly found on our beaches, in our oceans, and because there are alternatives.
A central issue in the single-use plastic ban is who is going to pay. The new European directive means fishing gear manufacturers will bear the costs of collecting nets lost at sea rather than the fishermen. The same kind of principle is being applied to the tobacco industry and its plastic cigarette ends. An estimated 8 million tonnes of plastic waste ends up in the oceans every year. The EU's ban is significant in terms of setting a policy precedent, but it won't change the seas very much, as 90% of the plastic pollution is believed to come from 10 rivers, 8 in Asia and 2 in Africa.
Wow. We are so stupid in the West. So Africa is...
That is a great clip.
Africa is polluting the water with single-use plastics, and we get blamed for it. And we get shamed into using a straw.
We have to give them money for global warming.
Oh, my goodness. Africa. You know what? We're moving to Africa. I'm going to find one of those elite strongholds where the European leaders are all hanging out. We're going to go live there. It's going to be safe. It's going to be beautiful.
Pee in the rivers and throw your stuff out the window.
And you can go get it in California. Here, Dvorak, here's my straw. My goodness. Yeah.
I don't know if I can top that. I do have, I could top with the weather report, which, because a lot of people, I guess, I'm surprised we got the kind of great donations we got because of these blizzards.
Oh, the blizzards, we had a big storm last night in Austin.
Yeah, I heard that. I was looking at the map. They're showing that the blizzards report came out, and I saw Austin surrounded by a giant red, like a dome.
Right downtown, and it woke us up. And woke us up, and then you got flash, boom, a crackling boom. So it was right over downtown.
Millions of Americans could have trouble getting home after Christmas. A powerful winter storm is blowing across the country. Parts of the plains and Midwest will get the worst of it. Blizzard conditions are possible in the Dakotas tonight. Powerful winds, floods, and even tornadoes could hit the Southwest.
What? No mention of climate change?
Well, it wasn't democracy.
Fire that guy. Sure. Fire that guy. It's no good. No, you got to have your climate change in that. Or what do we?
They should have. Yeah.
All right, everybody. That is your deconstruction for this 27th of December, 2018, winding down the year. No retrospectives, no look backs, just whatever happened to's. And we'll do another brand new, fresh episode for you on Sunday, just before we say goodbye to the year, and everyone else in media is hanging at home, doing nothing.
Yeah, they're having parties.
They're having parties. We're working for you. And we appreciate everyone who continues to contribute to the Value for Value system and network. Remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. Coming to you from downtown Austin, Texas. While I'm still here, capital of the Drone Star State in the 5x9 Cludio in the common law condo in the morning, everybody. I am Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I'm still laughing at these garbage cans these people put out because they don't have email. I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Sunday right here on No Agenda. Until then, adios, mofos! And such.
And such. Wow.
Drunken Jingle take 33. Drunken jingles for no agenda. Fa la 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 la. While we're on a 3-day bender. Fa la 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 la. Drink too much and fall down flat. Fa la 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 la. Then call on in to Nick the Rat. Fa la 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 la. I think that's the take.
Okay, I'll be another way. Well, I'll just be somebody walking down the street. You get the phone there. Oh, do. Hey, man, what's that there? Oh, do. 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 Hey, man. Hey, man. Hey, man. What's that there? Hey, man. Hey, man. Hey, man. What's that there? that? What is that? What is that? What is It's pronounced jiff, according to the guy who invented the word.
It's pronounced jitty, according to the guy who invented the word, Al Sharpton.
Democrats are outright jitty.
They got all jitty with it.
Jitty.
They're getting jitty.
Getting jitty. Getting all jitty.
Jitty.
They got all jitty with it.
They're getting jitty.
Getting jitty.
Jitty.
They're all jitty about a shutdown.
The wall. What does it take for you to realize that we need more money? The wall.
We're going to have a shutdown. There's nothing we can do about that.
Many times you have called for, I will shut down the government if I don't get my will. None of us have said
the wall.
You've said it.
Okay, you want to put that on my...
You said it.
I'll take it.
Okay.
The wall.
Wall.
The wall. I am proud to shut down the government. The wall.
The best podcast in the universe.
Adios, mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Thanks, Beyonce.